Chapter 902. Sensing the powerful suppression in his opponent's gaze, Su Yu used the power of time without hesitation, speeding up the surrounding time by several times. Swoosh! Before the gaze could reach him, Su Yu dodged it. At the same time, he flipped his palm, holding the underworld pearl in his left hand and a leaf in his right. Since he was facing an all-creation old monster, he would be courting death if he held back. It was highly possible that he would be killed by the all-creation old monster before he could retrieve the treasure. Hence, Su Yu decided to strike first. The underworld pearl would protect him, and the leaf would kill the golden light guard. The golden light guard looked at Su Yu from afar, standing on a rock. He did not attack, but stood there for a long time. "It's really you," the golden light guard said in a voice that even he could not hear. Su Yu's eyes lit up, and he took the opportunity to instill vital energy into the leaf. However, what puzzled him was that the golden light guard did not attack. After standing there for a few breaths, he broke through the void and left. Su Yu was startled. What happened? Did he escape because he sensed the danger of the tree god's original life leaf? After waiting for a long time to confirm that the golden light guard had left and was not hiding nearby, Su Yu put away the two treasures. His heart was filled with doubts. He had thought that it would be a life-and-death battle, but it had ended so quickly. The golden light guard and him were irreconcilable enemies, so he was surprised that it had ended so easily. Su Yu flew back to the Demon Mountain with doubts in his mind. Back in the house, Su Yu was lost in thought. Although he had escaped unscathed, he still felt uneasy. The Golden Light Guard had found out that he was hiding in the Red Blood Palace. Creak! Zixuan pushed the door open and entered. She glanced at Su Yu and asked, "Is that mysterious man looking for you?" Su Yu replied subconsciously, "Yes, I'm fine." Su Yu could not help but raise his eyes and ask, "How did you know that I went to meet him?" "I was nearby when you were fighting Lao Ai. When I returned to the house, you didn't come back. Most likely, you went to meet that mysterious man," Zixuan said, blinking her eyes. Su Yu did not think too much about it. "Recently, I decided to enter the illusory fighting room to train in isolation. Firstly, I need to refine some things, and secondly, I need to avoid some unnecessary entanglement." After the Bright Light Guard's provocation, Su Yu decided to comprehend the Five Elements Mysteries art and master the Five Elements Divine Prison as much as he could. Moreover, by doing so, he could avoid endless troubles. The effect of defeating Jian Wuxing was still lingering. Zixuan nodded obediently. "Yes, I'm going to search through the faction once more to confirm Su Yu's whereabouts. If I can't find him, I might intend to give up." "It's fine if you give up. You've already wasted enough time, so don't delay your training," Su Yu said. He didn't know why, but even though he could heave a sigh of relief, he still felt guilty. Was it really good to keep lying? Zixuan was a pure and ignorant girl. "I heard from Sister Bing that you're going to participate in the Glittering Jewel Wonderland, and you're collecting merit points, right?" Zixuan asked. Su Yu nodded. As the Tonglin Elixir Store's shopkeeper, he had earned 200,000 merit points. Then, he had participated in the Desolate Evil Jungle's sacrificial offering, which had earned him 100,000 merit points. He was still far from his goal of 4 million contribution points. "Is it still not enough? After you go into seclusion, I'll help you keep an eye on the missions in the Hall of Missions. I hope I can help you," Zixuan said. "When I was outside, you were the only one who helped me." "Silly girl, what are you talking about?" Su Yu rubbed her head. "Back then, you saved my life. Isn't it reasonable for me to take care of you?" Zixuan didn't resist. Before long, Su Yu entered the illusory fighting room, entered the secret chamber, and started to train in silence. After he went into seclusion, the alluring cabinet master and Xueqi came to look for Su Yu, but they returned after learning that his seclusion had been fruitless. Every day there would be students from the inner sanctum who wished to meet Su Yu, and many of them wanted to challenge him. In the inner sanctum, In the study room of the left palace master's mansion, a middle-aged man in plain clothes was quietly reading a thick scroll in his hand. Left palace master Wei Jing is back, a servant reported. The middle-aged man put down the scroll and said, "Ask him to come and see me now." Before long, Wei Jing and Bai Shuling came to the study room together. Wei Jing's face was full of anxiety, and he bowed to pay his respects, not daring to get up. Wei Jing pays his respects to the left palace master. Bai Shuling giggled and obediently massaged the middle-aged man's shoulders. The middle-aged man looked at Wei Jing and Bai Shuling and said, "Wei Jing, did Su Yu not agree to your request?" He was observant, and Wei Jing's expression told him the answer. Wei Jing's face was full of bitterness, and he stole a glance at Bai Shuling, feeling wronged. "It's Wei Jing's incompetence, and I didn't persuade Su Yu." He was completely taking the blame for Bai Shuling. The middle-aged man tilted his head to look at Bai Shuling, and he had already guessed most of the matter. It was most likely his daughter who had gone there and ruined things. "Father, I don't think that Su Yu is good enough. He's only a fifth-grade fairy, and yet he's so arrogant and reckless. How can he go far on the path of martial arts with such a temperament?" Bai Shuling glared at Wei Jing, implying that there was nothing to be afraid of. If he had defeated Jian Wuxing's virtual shadow with the cultivation of an almighty, his arrogance would be understandable, but what's so great about defeating Jian Wuxing when she was a third-grade fairy? It's hard to say if he could break through the almighty level in this lifetime. We don't need such a dispensable genius. The middle-aged man's face darkened when he heard that. "Foolish!" His soft yell made Wei Jing hold his breath, and Bai Shuling's palms trembled in fear. His potential is certainly eye-catching, but what I value more is his performance in Tianya City. The middle-aged man turned to glare at Bai Shuling. "It's nothing to defeat Jian Wuxing when she was a third-grade fairy, but he's proficient in Mu words, and he's a master of his generation. Where else can we find such a person?" It's said that the great general manager of Tianya City, who is in isolation, admires Su Yu very much, and intends to recommend him to the skyscraping palace master as a registered disciple, so that Su Yu can have an identity and ensure his safety. In the future, after Deputy General Manager Wu retires, he will recommend Su Yu to be the Deputy General Manager. I don't need to explain how much benefit a Deputy General Manager of Tianya City can bring to our camp in Tianya City, right? These were all secrets that outsiders didn't know, and Wei Jing's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. Bai Shuling realized the gravity of the situation. It seemed like that fellow was really important. "Linger, oh Linger, you're the one who's arrogant and willful, and you've made him unhappy, haven't you?" The middle-aged man was well aware of his daughter's character, so he reprimanded her. Bai Shuling felt wronged and muttered, "I don't know either. Who asked him to be so arrogant? He thinks he's so great with such little qualifications." "Of course he's great, at least his qualifications are better than yours," the middle-aged man said angrily, seeing that she was quibbling. Bai Shuling felt even more wronged. Usually, her father doted on her, but today, for the sake of an outsider, he was reprimanding her repeatedly. "Isn't he just proficient in Mu words? What's so great about that? He still has to rely on the faction's protection. If he's in danger, he still needs us to save him." Is that so? It's true that he needs the faction's protection, but he doesn't need your protection. If he's in danger, he'll be the one protecting you, not you," the middle-aged man said. Bai Shuling said angrily, "I have the cultivation of a first-grade almighty, and I need a fifth-grade fairy to protect me? Father, it's fine if you see his value, but do you have to belittle your daughter in martial arts?" She was getting more and more furious. "On your way back, someone from the outside sanctum informed me that Lao Ai used his privilege to challenge Su Yu. Guess what the outcome was?" the middle-aged man said with a cold face. Wei Jing shuddered. Since the left palace master mentioned it, the outcome must be unusual. Could it be that he withstood many blows? Wei Jing probed. He was shocked. How long has it been, and he's already able to fight with an almighty? Bai Shuling was nonchalant. What else can he do? At most, he withstood a few more blows. If it were me, Humph, I'd beat him to a pulp with a single blow. Yes, they did decide the outcome with a single blow, but it was he who crippled Lao Ai's cultivation. Linger, how much higher is your cultivation than Lao Ai's? The middle-aged man asked. What? Crippled Lao Ai with a single blow? How is that possible? Could it be that Lao Ai's strength was specially restricted during the fight? Wei Jing sucked in a breath of cold air. The middle-aged man said, Lao Ai wanted to cripple his cultivation, but he failed. Instead, his cultivation was crippled with a single blow. There were no restrictions, and it was an open fight. Bai Shuling was dumbfounded. She murmured, No way. A 5th-grade fairy crippled a 1st-grade almighty with a single blow. How could? That's why I said that you've ruined everything. Regardless of his potential in martial arts or his future value, he's a rare talent. The middle-aged man said. Wei Jing thought for a moment, then said, I'm willing to go to the outer sanctum again to redeem myself. You must convince Su Yuxian to agree. The middle-aged man sighed. It's too late. Before defeating Lao Ai, we still had a chance. Now, all the elders in the inner sanctum know that there are countless people who want to take Su Yuxian as a disciple. There are some elders in the inner sanctum that I don't want to offend easily. Hearing this, Bai Shuling was even more speechless. In the camp of the Right Palace Master, a burly middle-aged man with a dark face was sullen. Su Yuxian doesn't take me seriously, does he? The dark gold middle-aged man was the Right Palace Master, and he was very displeased. He had asked Lao Ai to invite Su Yu personally and banished Lao Ai to the border, which was a show of respect for Su Yu. In the end, not only did Su Yu not accept his good intentions, but he also crippled Lao Ai. Palace Master, let me meet this arrogant man. He has caused countless troubles for our Shao family. A white-haired youth with a strong murderous aura said. He was the genius disciple that the Shao family was most proud of. He had entered the inner sanctum many years ago and was very famous. In the inner sanctum, he was ranked among the top 10 experts, and his cultivation had reached the 8th grade almighty. Chuanguang, you should prepare for the glittering jewel wonderland in 5 months. You don't have to fight Su Yuxian personally, the dark gold middle-aged man said. Moreover, Su Yuxian's status is not the same as before. He's related to the 18 blessed and heavenly lands and the heavenly knife region's interests and reputation in Tianya City. You mustn't touch him. Yes. Shao Chuanguang bowed, but his eyes flickered with a cold light and murderous intent. Tianya City. On this day, the Elixir Alliance was filled with colorful lights, and celebrations were everywhere. This was because Alliance Master Zhao, one of the 2 Alliance Masters who had been in isolation for a long time, had come out. He called for a meeting and went to the Red Blood Palace's headquarters to meet the Deputy General Manager. Oh? Alliance Master Zhao, your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. The Deputy General Manager greeted him with a smile. The Deputy General Manager didn't dare to look down on the Elixir Alliance. This group of alchemists had a vast network, and they didn't dare to offend them. After exchanging greetings for a while, Alliance Master Zhao stated his purpose for coming here. Deputy General Manager Wu, dare I ask, there is a shopkeeper under your jurisdiction named Su Yuxian? I don't know which elixir store he works in, but he saved my mischievous granddaughters a month ago. I still haven't thanked him, so I want to pay him a visit today. The Deputy General Manager had heard about this matter, and he couldn't help but think that Su Yuxian was really lucky, as he had unknowingly become friends with someone like Alliance Master Zhao. Alliance Master Zhao, you really didn't come at the right time. Su Yuxian's term ended half a month ago, and he has already returned to the faction, the Deputy General Manager said. I see. Alliance Master Zhao stroked his beard and said, "Fine, I'll go to the Red Blood Palace personally. I owe them a favor, so it's difficult for me to make elixirs carefully. Also, I haven't seen your faction's old man Gui for many years, so I'll go there to exchange pointers. I'll also send him news about that traitor." In the Red Blood Palace. Chapter 903. Tianxian, I will return the fairy artifact to you. A well-dressed middle-aged man stood in front of her. Mo Tianxian said with a cold face, 100 million crystals, I don't owe you a favor. The well-dressed middle-aged man did not refuse. He grabbed the space ring with a smile, turned around and said with a smile, Haha, Tianxian is still prejudiced against me. Cut the crap. Where's the old man who stole my fairy artifact? Give him to me, Mo Tianxian said, her eyes shining. That old man was the only mysterious person who could dissolve the extreme evil ghost energy in her body. Old man? The well-dressed middle-aged man said thoughtfully, wasn't the one who stole your fairy artifact the ruthless demonic man who killed Xuedi? I thought you lost your fairy artifact because you fought with him. How could it have been stolen by an old man? Mo Tianxian blushed, but she quickly hid it. She squinted and said, You mean, my fairy artifact was sold by that ruthless demonic man? The well-dressed middle-aged man nodded. That's strange. Could it be that the ruthless demonic man stole the old man's treasure? If so, is that old man still alive? Mo Tianxian frowned and could not help but frown deeply. That mysterious old man was the only hope that could resolve her problems. The well-dressed middle-aged man said thoughtfully, Why do you keep mentioning that old man? Is there a reason? Nothing. Mo Tianxian shook her head and said, I appreciate the favor of returning the demonic artifact, and I will return the favor in the future. If there's nothing else, I'd like to meet an outer sanctum disciple while I'm out of seclusion. The well-dressed middle-aged man's eyes flashed, and he said, Haha, is it that peerless expert who is proficient in Mu words? He took back all the shops that the blessed and heavenly lands had lost for 10 years, and drove the heavenly knife region out of Tianya City in one night. He is indeed a talent. I'd like to meet him. Maybe he's interested in joining the Severed Fairy Cliff. Mo Tianxian stared at the well-dressed middle-aged man, feeling displeased. But because of his identity, she did not say anything. She ordered the guards outside, Inform the outer sanctum disciple Su Yuxian that I will personally reward him. The guard at the door immediately said, reporting to the palace master, Su Yuxian has gone into seclusion. This subordinate will immediately wake him up from his seclusion. He's in seclusion. Mo Tianxuan's interest waned. Moreover, the middle-aged man in luxurious clothes was beside her, so she gave up. Forget it. He's in seclusion to avoid any disturbances. Let's wait until he's out of seclusion. After saying that, he glanced at the middle-aged man. There's no reason to continue staying here, right? The middle-aged man in luxurious clothes chuckled. Haha, I'll take my leave then. However, let me remind you that going too far is as bad as not going far enough. The Heavenly Knife region has lost all their shops this time, and they've lost all their face. I'm afraid that they'll fly into a rage out of humiliation and take up arms again. You 18 blessed and heavenly lands must be on your guard. You don't have to worry about that. Mo Tianxian snorted coldly. Su Yu, who was deep in seclusion, had no idea how much danger he had avoided because of his seclusion. Once Mo Tianxian found out that he was the perverted old thief who had molested her and stolen her guillotine, the scene would be too beautiful. Su Yu had been in isolation for more than half a month, so it had been a month since he had returned from Tianya City. After a period of arduous cultivation, Su Yu devoted himself to the comprehension of the demon clan's words in the 5 elements mysteries arts. He was both satisfied and dissatisfied with the half-month of arduous cultivation. Half a month, coupled with the time acceleration, was equivalent to dozens of years. Su Yu had comprehended 20 demon clan's words. When he had comprehended them under the Enmu tree, he had the help of his powerful perception. Everything went smoothly, and he hadn't discovered the problem. But now it had been exposed. The demon clan's words and the 5 elements mysteries arts got more and more difficult as he progressed. The concepts contained in the latter parts were several times more difficult than the ones before. Especially after he had comprehended 80 words, the difficulty of the next one was several times greater than the previous one. As a result, Suyu had only comprehended this much after dozens of years, which was far slower than he had expected. I'm too optimistic. An emperor-based saint artifact with a holy spirit is much more difficult than I thought, Suyu couldn't help but murmur. Swoosh! A small black-green water dragon flew out of the 5 elements divine prison and said proudly, "Human, do you think the emperor-based saint artifact of my demon clan can be refined so easily?" What he didn't mention was that none of the peerless geniuses of the demon clan had managed to refine 90 words in just 2 months like Suyu. Even the first master had spent 500 years to refine only 10% of the word. However, the black-green water dragon didn't say anything about its shock. Suyu glanced at it indifferently. He was instinctively on guard against this black-green water dragon. Before you comprehend 100 words, you don't have to show yourself and waste your soul power, Suyu said. The black-green water dragon said, "If I didn't come out to tell you, how would you know that the 5 elements divine prison can already exert its additional power? Wait, didn't you say it must be at least 100 demon clan words?" Suyu's eyes were cold. The black-green water dragon said, "Listen carefully, it's just the additional power, not the real power. The power to suppress all things in the world is the real power of the 5 elements divine prison. However, the additional power can already be activated when you have refined 90 word." "What is it?" Suyu asked, holding the 5-colored exquisite tower in his palm. The black-green water dragon smiled. 5-pulse dominant wave. It has only one function: defense. You just need to mobilize the 5 elements that you have mastered to activate the 5 elements divine prison, and you can release a wave-like defense. Anyone below the 6th grade Almighty can't break it, and it can save your life in times of crisis. However, because you haven't mastered enough 5 elements, you can only use it once a month, and you can only protect one person at a time. If you break through 100 words, there will be no more restrictions on the number of times you can use it. It could withstand attacks from anyone below the 6th grade Almighty. Such a powerful defense was far superior to the Eternal Stone King armor. Of course, if the Eternal Stone King armor could be repaired, it would be a different story. Human lad, comprehend it with all your heart. The 5 elements divine prison will give you more and more surprises. The black-green water dragon smiled mysteriously. After half a month of isolation, his gains were getting weaker, so it was time to come out. "I can't stay in the faction for long after I come out of isolation. There are too many troubles, so I need to leave the faction as soon as possible and carry out missions to earn merit points. However, I'm still short of more than 3 million merit points. How can ordinary missions give me such a huge amount of merit points?" Suyu frowned deeply. 4 million merit points was much more difficult than he had imagined. There were still 4 months left, so how difficult would it be to gather them all? "Fine, I'll ask Zixin first. She's been paying attention to the Hall of Missions for the past half a month. I wonder if she noticed any important missions." As he thought of this, Suyu came out of isolation and went straight back to the Demon Mountain. What he didn't expect was that a beautiful woman with an ice-cold body was already standing straight in the courtyard. Her snow-like eyes were cold, and her gaze seemed capable of freezing people. "You've finally come out of isolation. I've been waiting for you for a long time." The beautiful woman didn't say anything else. She pulled out a cold long sword and waved it at Suyu. The sword was swift and fierce, and it contained a profound sword intent. Although it was only a single sword strike, It felt like 100 sword lights were on his body, and he couldn't dodge them. Moreover, every single sword was filled with murderous intent, and its might was boundless. Chapter 904. Humph! I'm going to hack you, old perverted thief! Bing Wuxin struck with her sword, which turned into hundreds of sword shadows. She had reached the realm of mind manipulation in the path of swordsmanship. She was like a sword, and the sword was like her. Her power was so great that no one at the same level could rival her. Even a first-grade almighty would find it difficult to defend against her sword. Suyu was annoyed. Bing Wuxin was a good woman, but she was too demanding and did things her own way. With a thought, the fire essence jade in the depths of Su Yu's heart overflowed with flames. With Su Yu's current comprehension of the 5 elements, he could reach the realm of fusing any element into one. With a thought, he could reach the realm of being one with fire. He spread his fingers, and 5 streams of scorching heat shot out of them, forming a giant flame net. The hundreds of sword shadows were destroyed in the giant flame net. Bing Wuxin retracted her sword and held it in front of her. The powerful sword energy rushed out and tore the giant flame net apart. Mind manipulation. Bing Wuxin's pretty eyes shone with surprise. In any path, one could break through to a whole new realm after reaching a bottleneck. It was the same for the path of swordsmanship, path of fire, path of ice, path of water, and so on. When cultivated to perfection and comprehended to the extreme, one could break through the bottleneck and reach the realm of mind manipulation. At that time, the martial artist would fuse with the path, and his power would increase exponentially. She had cultivated the path of sword for more than 10 years, and only then did she reach the realm of mind manipulation. But when did Su Yu master the realm of mind manipulation? Su Yu said, "If you just want to compete with me, I'm not interested. If there's nothing else, you can leave. I've just come out of isolation, and I want to rest." "Of course I have something to tell you," Bing Wuxin said coldly. Su Yu strode into the house and said without turning his head. Bing Wuxin said, "Return the acacia seed that's controlling Wuxia. You're a man, so don't you feel ashamed of using such despicable means to control a woman?" So it was because of this matter. In fact, he had planned to settle it before leaving the faction. He didn't expect Bing Wuxin to misunderstand him and ask for it. "Take it." Su Yu threw the 2 emerald seeds at her. He didn't want to pursue how Gongsun Wuxia had framed him. He had a vague feeling that Gongsun Wuxia had been much colder to him ever since Tianya City. "Is it because I robbed her of her 50th level privilege?" Su Yu was very puzzled by this. He wanted to explain it to Gongsun Wuxia, but the relationship between the two of them made it impossible for him to do so. Bing Wuxin was slightly taken aback. She was slightly surprised by Su Yu's frankness. According to Gongsun Wuxia, when she asked for it, Su Yu refused to give it to her and even wanted to take advantage of it to molest her. From the looks of it now, it didn't seem to fit the situation. "Wait, what's going on between the two of you?" Bing Wuxin tried to ask. Su Yu turned his head to look at her and thought to himself, "So what if I explain it to you? Isn't it just a sentence from someone else, and you're already pointing your sword at me?" "It's none of your business," Su Yu said softly. He then turned around and went back to his room, closed the door, and rested. He had been under a lot of pressure recently. The appearance of the 5 golden light guards made him feel like there was a dagger on his back, and he was not in the mood for other things. What he had said just now was unintentional, but in Bing Wuxin's eyes, it was cold. "Su Yu, what's with your attitude?" Bing Wuxin was infuriated. In the past, Su Yu's attitude was warm and gentle, so why was he so cold and indifferent now? She held the 2 green seeds in her hands and quickly walked into Gongsun Wuxia's house. Slap! She pressed the 2 seeds on the table with her palm and said, "I've brought them back for you. Can you tell me what happened between the 2 of you?" He felt that Su Yu's recent changes might have something to do with Gongsun Wuxia. Gongsun Wuxia's eyes lit up. She snatched the 2 seeds and heaved a long sigh of relief. "Answer my question," Bing Wuxin said as she stared at Gongsun Wuxie. Gongsun Wuxie blinked her eyelashes and looked Bing Wuxin up and down. She said, "Sister Wuxin, why are you concerned about him? Have you really fallen for him? This is bad. Many of the senior brothers in the inner sanctum are going to have their hearts broken." She was like a goddess in the inner sanctum, and there were countless people who wanted to get close to her. "You know I'm not interested in him. Answer my question." Bing Wuxin stared at her and said expressionlessly. Gongsun Wuxie curled her lips. "It's nothing. I just don't want to get close to such a person anymore." She still did not say what had happened between them. At that moment, Bing Wuxin seemed to have realized something. She squinted her eyes and asked, "Wuxie, did he confess to you? Did you reject him because of my presence? Is that why he's so depressed? If that's the case, you don't have to worry. I don't care about being his lover. If you really like him, you can be with him at any time. I won't take it to heart." Gongsun Wuxie's small mouth opened wide. She had never thought that Gongsun Wuxie would think of this. Him? How is that possible? Gongsun Wuxie jumped up instinctively. She was angry and embarrassed. How could I fall for a pervert like him? I, Gongsun Wuxie, can fall for anyone but him. Even if he's the only man left in the world, I won't fall for him. Seeing that she was so resolute, Bing Wuxin sighed. "I hope you won't regret it." Gongsun Wuxie did not take it seriously. However, after such a scene, she could not help but recall the ruthless demonic man. A gentle and shy light flashed in the depths of her eyes. In the house, Suyu was lost in thought. The 5 great golden light guards had already found him and confirmed that he was in the Red Blood Palace. Was this place safe enough? If it was the inner sanctum, with Mo Tianxian in charge, perhaps the 5 great golden light guards would be afraid and not dare to go deep into the inner sanctum. But this is the outer sanctum, which is very far from the inner sanctum. If he really barges in, no one can save him. Suyu thought, feeling more and more anxious. During the half a month of isolation, this sense of urgency had continued to increase. The feeling of uneasiness had been lingering in his heart for a long time. If this hidden danger was not resolved, Suyu knew that it would be difficult for him to calm down. The only thing I can do now is to leave the Red Blood Palace. Maybe I can avoid the Golden Light Guards for the time being. Suyu pondered for a long time as he made up his mind. Although he had gone to great lengths to escape into the Red Blood Palace and build a foundation, if the Golden Light Guards found him and saw through his old state, he would not feel safe staying in the Red Blood Palace. It would be better to leave the faction and look for a safe place. However, how to leave the faction was a big problem. Suyu's status was not the same as before. If there were no special circumstances, the faction would not let a top master like Suyu, who was proficient in Mu words, leave at will. It seemed like the only way was to choose the way allowed by the faction. Carry out the mission. During the process of the mission, flee far away from the blessed and heavenly land. Sitting in the house, Suyu let out a long sigh. He had no other choice but to make such a decision. Although he had been here for less than a year, he had left behind many things that he could not bear to part with. Yuan Yingying, the Demon Mountain, Shangguan Yunk, and he even owed Shangguan Yunk a promise to protect the Shangguan family. Now that he had left, he would not be able to fulfill it. Creak. Zishuan pushed the door open and entered. She said, "A great mission has appeared." Many students got the news and rushed to the Hall of Missions. A mission had appeared, and it happened to be one that Suyu needed. "What mission?" Suyu asked. Zishuan said, "It's a mission that has been on the ghost list for 10 years, but has not been completed." Chapter 905. However, the mission was always in a state of execution, and the contents of the mission were only known to the executor. It was in a confidential state. Now that this mission had reappeared, it meant that the previous executor had failed and the mission had been reissued. "Is there anything special about this mission?" Suyu asked. Zixuan nodded in response. I heard from them that the merit points reward is quite great, and it's the highest in the history of the Red Blood Palace's missions list. It's even higher than killing the 18 blessed and heavenly land's most wanted criminal. Suyu remembered that the Ghost Buddha, who was ranked 13th on the wanted list, was worth 300,000 merit points. So, the reward for the first wanted criminal would be at least 1,000,000 merit points. How many? Suyu asked. I heard it's 3,000,000, Zixuan said. Suyu's pupils contracted. 3,000,000 merit points. How could there be such a huge reward? The person who announced it is the Inner Sanctum's Elixir Refining Master, Master Ghost. Almost all of the mysterious elixirs consumed by the Divine Master Realm experts in the Red Blood Palace are made by him. Hence, the merit points he holds are enormous. Even the left and right palace masters are slightly inferior to him. Master Ghost can afford 3,000,000 merit points. Master Ghost? Suyu had some recollection of the famous elixir refining master in the inner sanctum of the Red Blood Palace. It seemed like Master Ghost had taken a fancy to Yuan Yingying and recruited her into the inner sanctum. His status was extremely important, and all the God Master experts in the sect had to give him some face. He did not expect that this 10-year mission would be issued by Master Ghost, and the merit reward was very high. After completing the mission, the glittering jewel wonderland would be within reach. Unfortunately, Suyu had already decided to leave the faction and avoid the 5 golden light guards. The only use of this mission for Suyu was to help him leave the faction openly. How long has the mission been issued? Has anyone accepted it? Suyu asked. Zixuan shook her head. No. Because there are many disciples that want to take up the assignment, Master Ghost has decided not to easily entrust the assignment to others, so as to avoid being unable to complete it for a long time. Who wouldn't be anxious about a mission that hadn't been completed in 10 years? Oh? How should I accept it? Suyu asked. Zixuan said, You can sign up and accept it. Master Ghost will personally select it. Are there any restrictions on the registration? Suyu asked. The mission was so difficult, so there must be a threshold. No, if you feel that you have the ability, you can sign up, Zixuan said. Such a strange mission? Suyu pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, Then, I'll go and register for it. Ever since Vice Hall Master Qi had mysteriously disappeared, a new Vice Hall Master had been assigned to the Hall of Mission in front of the Ghost list. What surprised Suyu was that he knew the trusted Deputy Clan Master. Pavilion Master, why are you? In front of the Ghost list, there was a lady in charge of registering people. She was charming and moving, her pair of jade-like arms reflected a glimmer of light, as she stood in front of the table, as if it was difficult for her to bear the weight on her chest. She had a charming and moving face that could make people fall head over heels for her. This person was the Pavilion Master in charge of the Flame Room. The alluring Cabinet Master raised her head subconsciously, and her pretty eyes were filled with resentment. You've been back for half a month, and you're only here to see me now? You heartless little fellow. As she spoke, she stood up lazily, walked over to Suyu, and leaned into his embrace. Suyu stroked his nose. He couldn't stand the alluring Cabinet Master, so he took a step back and said, Cabinet Master, congratulations on your promotion. Compared to the remote flame cultivation chamber, the Hall of Missions was undoubtedly more popular. Even though he was the Vice Hall Master, the benefits he could obtain from the flame cultivation chamber were not any less than what he could obtain from the flame cultivation chamber. It's all thanks to you, little brother. You helped me sell elixirs and earn a lot of merit points. That's how I managed to bribe the higher-ups of the outside sanctum and fill the vacancy in time, the alluring Cabinet Master said with a smile. It seemed like she had gone through the back door and spent a lot of merit points in exchange for this promotion. Cabinet Master, I'm here to ask about the missions, Suyu said. The alluring Cabinet Master blinked her pretty eyes. Well, what kind of missions do you want? I'm in charge of the ghost list, and they're all top-notch missions. Little brother, whatever good missions you want, I can inform you in advance. But, the price. He wanted to peel off a layer of skin from this woman. However, Suyu knew that she was just teasing him. If she really gave it to him, he might not want it. I want to know if you can register for the missions issued by Master Ghost here, Suyu said bluntly. Upon hearing that, the alluring cabinet master's smile faded, and her eyes narrowed slightly. You're here to ask about this mission? Seeing Suyu nod with certainty, the alluring cabinet master's face changed, and her expression slowly turned cold. Do you want to die so soon? Her tone was stern, but it was filled with love. Cabinet master, please enlighten me. I just found out about this mission, Suyu said. The alluring cabinet master suddenly understood. It seemed like Suyu still didn't understand the dangers of this mission. She said, You don't know, yet you still dare to mess around. You can forget about this mission, as it's not suitable for you. Even in the inner sanctum, only the top 30 elite disciples are qualified to accept it. The threshold is so high? Suyu was curious. Cabinet Master, may I ask, what kind of mission is it that requires such strong disciples and rewards such a huge amount of merit points? I don't know the specific details. Only Master Ghost himself knows, the alluring Cabinet Master said. Suyu frowned. Didn't any of the disciples who carried out the mission in the past 10 years secretly leak it out? Even if there was a little bit of information, it would have leaked out by now, wouldn't it? It's not that those disciples didn't want to say it, but they didn't have the chance to, because none of the disciples who carried out the mission came back alive. Just a month ago, the original life cards of 3 inner sanctum disciples who carried out the mission shattered at the same time, and the mission failed, the alluring Cabinet Master said. May I ask what the cultivation of the disciples who accepted the mission was like? Suyu was aware of the danger. The alluring Cabinet Master said solemnly, the lowest was a 3rd-grade Almighty, and the highest was the closest 3 inner sanctum disciples. 2 of them were 4th-grade Almighty, and 1 of them was a 5th-grade Almighty. Upon hearing that, Suyu was secretly shocked. The combination of a 5th-grade Almighty and 2 4th-grade Almighty had been completely annihilated. What was the purpose of this mission? Didn't the faction search for the missing disciples? Suyu asked. The alluring Cabinet Master's expression became even more grave, and there was even a hint of fear in her eyes. They did, but all that was found was a bag of skin, without exception. The internal organs, bones, and brains inside were all gone. Upon hearing that, Suyu felt a chill run down his spine. What a familiar state of death. Do you still want to sign up now? I've heard that you destroyed Lao AI's cultivation with a single strike, but this mission isn't about fighting Lao AI, but about countless inner sanctum disciples dying. The alluring Cabinet Master said earnestly, after that incident, the inner sanctum disciples have been very cautious about this mission. Until now, only a few have signed up. If you go, it'll be no different from courting death. Suyu didn't speak. After a moment, he said, Where do I sign up? I want to participate. With so many tricks up his sleeve, even if Suyu couldn't defeat her, he still had some confidence in protecting himself. Chapter 906. Why don't you know what's good for you? The alluring Cabinet Master was furious. Suyu smiled. Cabinet Master, I will remember your kindness. I must go this time, so please tell me. For some reason, the alluring Cabinet Master sensed something else, as if Suyu was going to leave. Seeing that Suyu was determined, the alluring Cabinet Master could only give up trying to persuade him. Fine, the mission may not fall on you, so it's better for you to give up. As she spoke, she took out a jade pendant and muttered a few words into it. It was Suyu's name. Then, she molded it. I've already sent a message to Master Ghost. Tomorrow, Master Ghost's students will come to take you there, the alluring Cabinet Master said. Besides you, the other students of the outside sanctum who have signed up are Gongsun Wuxie and Bing Wuxin. You can go together tomorrow. Both of them have signed up? Su Yu frowned. Thank you, Cabinet Master. Su Yu bowed. After thinking for a moment, he gave her 10 bottles of heart-refining mortal dust liquid before leaving. Cabinet Master, please accept them. Consider them my thanks for taking care of me for a long time. In the outside sanctum, the alluring Cabinet Master had taken care of him a lot. She had even recommended Su Yu to join the right Palace Master's camp. Although the heart-refining mortal dust liquid was useless to her training, it could be sold in the faction's black market for a lot of crystals. The alluring Cabinet Master felt strange. The feeling that Su Yu was about to leave was getting stronger. Su Yu, do you want to leave the faction? Her eyes were filled with wisdom. Cabinet Master, you think too much, Su Yu said calmly. The alluring Cabinet Master's eyes shone brightly as she nodded slightly. That's good. You might not be able to find a better place to stay if you leave the Red Blood Palace. Then, she looked at the 10 bottles of heart-refining mortal dust liquid in her hand with a smile. Crystals almost popped out of her eyes. You have a conscience. You even brought back a few bottles of heart-refining mortal dust liquid for me. Apart from you, I suppose no one can easily take it out, right? Nowadays, the heart-refining mortal dust liquid was in short supply in Tianya City. It had appeared twice in the world, and it had been sold out in a short time. The Red Blood Palace, which was hundreds of millions of miles away, might not be able to get it even if they went there themselves. This was why 10 portions of the heart-refining mortal dust liquid were so precious to the Red Blood Palace. If you sell these to those rich inner disciples, you won't have to worry about not being able to sell them for 20,000 crystal stones a bottle. This is 200,000 crystal stones. The alluring Cabinet Master was overjoyed. Even if I convert it into merit points, I can get 50,000 merit points. Su Yu shook his head in amusement. In his memory, the alluring Cabinet Mistress was an intelligent woman who loved wealth. Perhaps the heart-refining mortal dust liquid that he had given out was just right for him. Goodbye. Su Yu waved his hand at her and left without turning his head back. On the same day, a commotion arose in the Red Blood Palace's outer sanctum's black market. The heart-refining mortal dust liquid, which had given rise to much discussion in the 18 blessed and heavenly lands, had appeared in the Red Blood Palace's outer sanctum's black market. This matter caused an uproar in the inner sect. Many disciples who were about to break through to the God Lord level or had already broken through to the God Lord level came to fight over it. Even if they didn't use it themselves, giving it to someone who needed it was still a great favor. All 10 bottles of the heart-refining mortal dust liquid were sold at a high price of 20,000 each. What was strange was that the owner of the heart-refining mortal dust liquid only wanted crystals, even though everyone in the Red Blood Palace valued merit. The seller was undoubtedly the alluring Cabinet Master. At the Demon Mountain, Gongsun Wuxie and Bing Wuxin had somehow found out that Su Yu had also signed up for Master Ghost's mission, and they had come together. Su Yuxian, give up on this mission. Bing Wuxin stood in the yard, separated by a door and a window. Su Yu was sitting with his legs crossed in the room. When he heard her, he frowned slightly. How could the two of them have such a wide information network? The alluring Cabinet Master wouldn't sell his information, so it was most likely from Master Ghost. Both of them had a wide and deep network. Is there a problem? Su Yu didn't budge an inch. He had no intention of opening the door to meet her. Bing Wuxin said, I'm just telling you not to waste your energy. The mission is mine, and you'll be wasting your time even if you go. Su Yu asked, how many merit points do you need? He needed 4 million merit points to complete the mission of the Glittering Jewel Wonderland, and he wondered how much Bing Wuxin needed. A million is more than enough to complete this mission, Bing Wuxin said. Su Yu raised his brows and said coldly, you don't want me to fight for merit points with you, so you want me to give up? Bing Wuxin said coldly, I just don't want you to die in vain. There wasn't a hint of kindness in her tone. I appreciate your kindness. If there's nothing else, I'm going to meditate, Su Yu said indifferently. Su Yu didn't have a bad impression of this rude and unreasonable woman, but he didn't have a good impression of her either. Bing Wuxin's lips twitched a few times. She stomped her feet and turned to walk away with a sullen face. Let's go. Back in Gongsun Wuxie's room, she crossed her arms in front of her chest. I told you not to be nice to such a person. He won't appreciate it. You kindly advised him not to die, but he wouldn't listen. Anyway, the mission is in Sister Wuxin's pocket, and no one can compete with you. Bang! Bing Wuxin slammed her fist on the table, anger rising in her eyes. This guy, I was kind enough to comfort him, and he's got such an attitude. As she spoke, Bing Wuxin looked at Gongsun Wuxie once again. She had always felt that the reason Su Yu hadn't come out since he came back, hadn't spoken much, and had a cold and detached attitude was because Gongsun Wuxie had rejected his friendship. Today, she had brought Gongsun Wuxie to Su Yu's room because she wanted to have a frank discussion with Su Yu about the mission, hoping to untie the knot in Su Yu's heart. However, he didn't even let her through the door, and his attitude was still so cold. This really infuriated Bing Wuxin. Sister Wuxin, you don't need to be angry at such a person. Gongsun Wuxie stuck out her tongue, then said fearfully, Let's go to the black market to take a look. I heard that someone is selling merit points for 200,000 or 300,000. Sister Wuxin, you mustn't miss this opportunity. Bing Wuxin's eyes lit up. She was in need of many merit points, and someone selling such a large amount of merit points was a rare opportunity. Fine, let's not care about him. Let's go. Bing Wuxin took Gongsun Wuxie with her and went straight to the black market. In Su Yu's courtyard, they had just left when Shangguan Yunk came to visit him. Brother Su, I heard that you came out of your secluded cultivation. Gongsun Wuxie wore a smile on her face. Su Yu opened his eyes and stood up. He pushed the door open and said, Yunk, come in. I was going to look for you. Ah, Brother Su, you were looking for me? Did you have something good for me? Shangguan Yunk rubbed his hands together and asked with a smile. Su Yu nodded, then took out a spatial ring from his sleeves and threw it at him. These are for you. I hope that they'll be of help to you. Shangguan Yunk caught it subconsciously and examined its content. He then asked in confusion, Brother Su, what are the purple elixir liquids inside? The Shangguan family was a big family, so they didn't lack elixirs. Su Yu understood this, and this was why Shangguan Yunk was curious as to why Su Yu would give him such things. The heart-refining mortal dust liquid can strengthen your soul power, so it'll be easier for you to break through the almighty bottleneck, Su Yu said. Shangguan Yunk was taken aback before he finished listening. He then cried out involuntarily, What? This is the heart-refining mortal dust liquid that everyone in the city knows about? This liquid's reputation was too great, and as long as the news wasn't too isolated, everyone in the 18 blessed and heavenly lands knew about it. The Shangguan family had even sent people to Tianya City, hoping to buy a few of them so that they could use them in the future. However, after waiting for more than half a month, they returned empty-handed. It wasn't because they didn't have enough crystals, but because there were too many people there. Moreover, there were too many experts there, so the Shangguan family wouldn't even get a chance to buy one. Even if they managed to buy it, bringing it back safely to the faraway Shangguan family would still be a problem. There were 50 bottles of the heart-refining mortal dust liquid in the ring on his palm, which was equivalent to hundreds of thousands of crystals. Judging from the crystals that were sold in the black market today, they could be sold for at least 1,000,000 crystals, which was the Shangguan family's annual income. Brother Su, this gift is too precious, so I can't accept it. Shangguan Yunk's expression became solemn as he pushed it back. Su Yu said, Just keep it. It's a token of my appreciation. After Shangguan Yunk declined it several times, he clenched his teeth and said, Fine, I won't let you suffer any losses. 1,000,000 crystals. Su Yu's expression became cold. Fine, but if you really want to buy it with money, don't call me Brother Su anymore. Also, buy it for 10 million crystals. Upon hearing this, Shangguan Yunk accepted it embarrassedly. I owe Brother Su another big favor. Su Yu shook his head with a smile. It's hard to say who owes whom a favor. The 5 elements divine prison and the 5 elements mysteries art were far more valuable than 50 bottles of the heart refining mortal dust liquid. Su Yu didn't plan to sever their friendship with this, but he wanted to make it up to the Shangguan family before he left. Yunk, did you come to me for something? Su Yu asked. Delight appeared on Shangguan Yunk's face. Haha, I came to deliver good news to you. Where did the good news come from? Su Yu blinked his eyes. Recently, he had been plagued by troubles, and nothing had gone smoothly. Shangguan Yunk was beaming with joy. My sister asked me to deliver a message. Qing'er said that the Inner Sanctum's Elder Jing wants to take you as a disciple. She's in isolation, so it's not convenient for her to come in person. But, when she found out that my sister knows you, she asked her to deliver a message to you. It wasn't that it was inconvenient for Elder Jing to come, but that she was afraid that she would be embarrassed if Su Yu rejected her in person. In fact, with Su Yu's current reputation as the #1 disciple of the Outer Sanctum, there were many Inner Sanctum elders who were willing to take him as a disciple. It was because he had repeatedly rejected the Left Palace Master and the Right Palace Master that most of the elders had stopped in their tracks to avoid being rejected. Elder Jing should be one of the elders who had more confidence in herself than most of the other elders. Su Yu rejected her without much thought. Firstly, he had already decided to leave the faction, so it would be unnecessary for him to take her as his disciple. Secondly, he couldn't see any sincerity in asking someone to take him as a disciple. Even if he became his disciple, if Su Yu was in trouble in the future, the other party might not help him. Chapter 907. Su Yu smiled. Brother Su, I appreciate your kindness, but I have my own considerations. Please help me reply to Elder Jing. I'm afraid that I'm too stupid to break through the almighty bottleneck and ruin her family's reputation. Hence, I rejected her. His words were very tactful and appropriate. Shangguan Yunk's mouth opened wide. He couldn't understand Su Yu's thoughts. How could such a person exist? He had rejected both the Left and Right Palace Masters, and now he was rejecting Elder Jing's offer. This was something that many of the Red Blood Palace's students couldn't even dream of, yet he had rejected it with just a few words. After a long time of persuasion, Su Yu finally made up his mind. Shangguan Yunk sighed and took his leave, then sent a message to his sister. The next morning, a weak, timid, yet excited voice sounded at the door of Su Yu's house. Senior Brother Su. Su Yu opened his eyes, a hint of joy on his face. As he pushed the door open, a pretty girl with a round face was standing at the door of Su Yu's house shyly. Her snowy eyes were blinking nervously. Ying. Su Yu was surprised. The girl standing at the door was none other than Yuan Ying, whom he hadn't seen since the recruitment exam of the Red Blood Palace. She and Siduyen had been recruited in advance because of their talent. Since then, he hadn't seen them again. Uncle Su. Oh, you should call me Senior Brother Su. Yuan Ying blinked mischievously, her cheeks still red. Back then, Su Yu had taken advantage of Yuan Ying's seniority by pretending to be her grandfather. Haha, come in and have a seat. Su Yu invited her in and started reminiscing. Su Yu was shocked to learn that Yuan Ying had come to take them to see Master Ghost. Ying, have you become Master Ghost's disciple? Su Yu was shocked. He had thought that Yuan Ying had been recruited by some alchemist from the elixir refining hall of the outside sanctum, but it turned out that she had been recruited by Master Ghost. As Master Ghost's disciple, her status was so high that even the almighty students of the Inner Sanctum wouldn't dare to bully her. Otherwise, if Master Ghost got angry, no one would have a good ending. You're quite lucky. I'm relieved. You're alone in the faction, so no one will bully you. Su Yu felt relieved and asked curiously, Ying, how is your elixir refining level now? Yuan Ying lowered her head. She was both happy to have reunited with Su Yu, yet she was also shy. Master said that if I work hard for another year, I will be able to successfully make a 4th-grade spirit elixir. Su Yu nodded with a faint smile. He was making rapid progress, and once he could refine 4th-grade spirit elixirs, he would become one of the few high-grade alchemists in the 18 blessed and heavenly lands. I believe the Yuan family's master will be proud of you, Su Yu said with a smile. Since Master Ghost is waiting, let's talk as we walk. Yuan Ying nodded, then shook her head and said, Wait, there are 2 more people from the Demon Mountain who need to be summoned as well. Was it them? Su Yu nodded calmly. I will go with you. Bing Wuxin, who was practicing her swordsmanship in the courtyard, looked coldly at Su Yu and Yuan Ying, who were chatting and laughing with each other. She then sneered coldly and said, I assumed that you would be sad for a long time, but now that you have a new lover, you are so happy. Yuan Ying felt quite uncomfortable, and she looked at Su Yu and asked, What did she just say? Senior brother Su, do you have a lover in the outer sanctum? Su Yu looked at Bing Wuxin calmly and shook his head. He was too lazy to argue with her. I believe in you, senior brother Su. Seeing Su Yu shake his head, Yuan Ying believed him from the bottom of her heart, and her face lit up again. Greetings, senior sister Bing. I am here on my master's orders to bring you to meet her. Bing Wuxin tapped her chin, then shot a cold glance at Su Yu. Call Gongsun Wuxia and let's go together. Before long, Gongsun Wuxia, who had just crawled out of her bed, was dragged out by Bing Wuxin and brought to the inner sanctum. At the same time, Shangguan Qing'er had also arrived at Elder Jing's mansion. Elder Jing was over 50 years old, and she had taken good care of herself. Her skin was glossy and smooth, but the rouge on her face was a little thick. 2 beautiful disciples followed behind her, and they were very respectful of her. When she was reading, they were very quiet, not daring to make the slightest movement. The house was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping on the ground could be heard. At that moment, Shangguan Qing'er came in. She was also very quiet, not daring to disturb Elder Jing's reading. Everyone in the inner sanctum knew that among the many elders, Elder Jing was the most difficult to please. She was overbearing and had a bad temper. Regardless of whether the person was her disciple or not, she would reprimand anyone who displeased her. He's here. What did he say? Elder Jing seemed to have sensed something, so she put down her book and asked from afar. Her attitude didn't seem like she was entrusting Shangguan Qing'er to do something, but rather, it was a matter of course. Shangguan Qing'er groaned inwardly, but she looked calm on the surface. She said, Su Yuxian said that he's indebted to you, and he's worried that he won't be qualified to be your disciple. Hence, he's very sorry. Upon hearing that, Elder Jing was displeased. Didn't you state how powerful he is? I'm not an ordinary elder of the inner sanctum. Shangguan Qing'er said, My brother is Su Yuxian's best friend, so he naturally understands Elder Jing's status. He has already stated the stakes. Elder Jing didn't feel relieved, and she became even more displeased. So, he's looking down on me? Humph. He's just a little disciple of the outer sanctum, and he thinks highly of himself just because he made some contributions in Tianya City. Upon hearing Elder Jing's vulgar words, Shangguan Qing'er didn't dare to retort. She could only sigh silently. Send an order, ask Su Yuxian to come and see me. I want to ask him face to face. Elder Jing said angrily. She didn't have a superior relationship with Su Yu, but she still sent an order for Su Yu to come over. She was clearly overbearing. Right at that moment, the 2 disciples behind her looked at each other, then braced themselves and said, Master, please calm down. Master Ghost has invited you to come with him to teach the executor a few sets of defensive spells. I'm afraid there isn't enough time. Upon hearing that, Elder Jing was displeased, and she turned to glare at them. I don't need you to remind me. You wait here for Su Yuxian. Before I come back, he's not allowed to leave. Along the way, Yuan Yingying chatted with Su Yu, telling him about her experiences under Master Ghost. Master Ghost cherished her talents very much, so she didn't suffer much, and her life was peaceful and orderly. Su Yu's story was a little more risky, and Yuan Yingying pretended to be surprised from time to time. They acted as if no one else was around, leaving Gongsun Wuxie and Bing Wuxin far behind. Humph! Sister Wuxin, look at him. He's showing off every time he meets a girl, Gongsun Wuxie said indignantly. She didn't like Su Yu no matter how she looked at him now. Bing Wuxin didn't like it either, and she wondered if Su Yuxian was really someone who liked the new and hated the old. Let him be, Bing Wuxin said expressionlessly. Before long, they arrived at Master Ghost's mansion. In the middle of the mansion stood a giant elixir furnace that was 1,000 feet tall. As they approached the mansion, a wave of heat rolled over and hit their skin. It was scorching hot. Gongsun Wuxie and Bing Wuxin unconsciously released their vital energy to protect their bodies. Yuan Yingying couldn't help but condense her vital energy as well. Su Yu was the only one who didn't seem to be affected. It was as if his skin hadn't been burned at all. In front of the elixir furnace was a stone house built with fiery red boulders. It was simple and crude, and it was hard to imagine that this was the house of the #1 elixir refiner of the Red Blood Palace. The temperature here was even higher, and the vital energy was sizzling from the heat. Brother Su, how come you're fine? Yuan Yingying's tone of voice had returned to being affectionate. Subconsciously, she realized that Su Yu hadn't even activated his defensive vital energy. This scene caught Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie's attention, and they were secretly amazed. Even through the vital energy, they could feel the fierceness of the flames, but Su Yu was unscathed. I know a little about the profound meaning of fire, Su Yu said with a smile. Gongsun Wuxie was furious. She thought that he must have gained something from the desolate, evil jungle. When she recalled that she and the others had been imprisoned, while Su Yu had gained something from the outside, she felt even more indignant. Humph! It's very profound, isn't it? Gongsun Wuxie said indignantly. Bing Wuxin didn't find it strange, and she said, the profound meaning of fire. Once you reach the state of mind control, you can mobilize the fire elements at will. The rumors are true. Looking over, they could see that the fire elements around Su Yu were floating an inch away from his body. The group stepped into the spacious stone house, which was already filled with people. 3 middle-stage almighty of different ages were sitting at the head of the table, chatting with each other. The other 3 middle-stage almighty youths were standing next to them. Master, I have brought them here. Yuan Yingying entered the house and bowed to the red-faced old man. The red-faced old man nodded, then looked at Su Yu and the other 2 with a faint smile. His gaze fell on Bing Wuxin as he said, since you are all here, let's discuss who will receive the mission. Su Yu couldn't help but look at the 3 almighty divine masters, who were standing next to him. The lowest among them was a level 5 divine master, while the highest was a level 6 divine master. Such disciples were surely the elites among the elites in the sanctum. It seemed like even though this mission was risky, it was still a great temptation to the inner sanctum disciples, who hadn't accumulated 4 million merit points. There is only one mission, and according to the sanctum's rules, only one person can accept it. However, there is a condition attached to the mission, which is that 2 people are allowed to help you temporarily. After the mission is completed, the merit points will be handed over to the person who accepted the mission, while the amount of merit points that the person who took the mission can get is decided by the person who accepted the mission, the red-faced old man said. Su Yu and the others started pondering this matter. In other words, regardless of how the mission was completed, the person who accepted it would get the 3 million merit points. In that case, it would be more meaningful for the person to accept the mission. Haha, ghost old man, I think you'd better tell us about the mission first, then let them decide, a long-bearded old man on the red-faced old man's left said. The red-faced old man was Master Ghost. He nodded and said, "All right, you must keep the mission's details a secret. This mission requires you to kill a person who is ranked 7th on the 18 Blessed and Heavenly Lands 10 Great Wanted list," Master Ghost said, his words filled with hatred and murderous intent. Upon hearing that, the eyes of Su Yu and the others shone brightly. The 7th wanted criminal. Could he be one of the 18 Blessed and Heavenly Lands 3 great wandering martial artists, the demonic cultivator, Mo Yang? Su Yu was no stranger to Mo Yang's name. Back in the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion, he had come into contact with Mo Yang's disciple, Heiyue Langjun. Mo Yang's cultivation had reached the Almighty level a long time ago, and he was a level 3 Almighty. In a great faction like the Red Blood Palace, he seemed average, but among the wandering martial artists he was like a crane in a flock of chickens, and he was known as one of the 3 great wandering martial artists. Chapter 908. As expected, the few people who were about to accept the mission frowned at the same time as they sensed the abnormality. Mo Yang used to be my disciple in the past. When he was refining a furnace of 6 demons Xian pill in seclusion, he suddenly attacked and injured me, taking away the 6 demons Xian pill. Master Ghost's tone was low. Bing Wuxin raised her brows. The 6 demons profound core? The supreme grade profound core, known as the number 1 profound core of the Devil Path in the 18 Blessed and Heavenly Lands? Upon hearing this, the long-bearded elder said in a deep voice, "Back then, you and I brought the 6 demons' mysterious pill out of the glittering jewel wonderland. With our combined powers, it took us more than 50 years to finally solve the problem. I didn't expect that it would benefit this bastard." Su Yu was secretly surprised. He had heard of the 6 demons' incredible elixir. It was an extremely precious demonic pill that required 6 demonic ingredients that were almost extinct. Each of them was extremely difficult to find, and 3 of them had not appeared on the continent for hundreds of years. Just collecting these 6 materials would take an ordinary person tens of years. Back when this elixir recipe had appeared in the glittering jewel wonderland, it had caused a huge commotion. This demonic elixir could help demonic cultivators gain enlightenment. In fact, it was rumored that this pill had an extremely mysterious and beneficial effect when breaking through to the Wanxiang level. How could this not make the demonic cultivators of the 9 regions crazy? After the elixir formula appeared, even the sacred sects of the demonic sects in the far north, the supreme heavenly demon sect, had personally come to trade with them. The Supreme Heavenly Demon Sect was a super sect that unified one of the 9 prefectures. The sect leader was one of the 9 prefectures' kings. Although they were both demonic factions, the Red Blood Palace was incomparable to the Supreme Heavenly Demon faction. Fortunately, they had Jian Wuxing, who was from the Red Blood Palace, to back them up, and the Supreme Heavenly Demon faction returned empty-handed. But for many years, the Supreme Heavenly Demon sect had never given up. This kind of pill formula that shook the 9 regions was originally thought to be impossible to refine due to the limited materials. No one knew that as early as 10 years ago, Master Ghost had already secretly refined it. However, at the crucial moment of the refinement, the traitor Mo Yang succeeded. Master Ghost had chosen Mo Yang during the Outer Sanctum's recruitment assessment, and he had been meticulously trained by him for decades. Master Ghost had taught him half of his unique technique. Who would have thought that in the end, he would betray his righteousness and steal the 6 demons' profound core. Even the 6 extinct materials that he had collected were also stolen. From then on, the mysterious 6 demons' core was lost from the world. It was almost impossible to find the 6 extinct materials. This old man has eyes but failed to see, accepting such a disciple who deceives his master and destroys his ancestors. Master Ghost said with a sorrowful expression, "But I don't hate him. The temptation of the 6 demons' Xian core is too great. I didn't teach him well. What I hate is that, in order to steal the 6 demons Xian core, not only did he seriously injure me, but he also killed my 3 disciples one by one. When Su Yu heard this, he was secretly shocked. It sounded like Mo Yang was a ruthless and treacherous person who was good at forbearance. After enduring for decades, Master Ghost had never seen through the dark side of his heart, causing him to let his guard down. Moreover, he killed his fellow apprentice brothers that he had known for decades without giving them any face. His personality was cold and indifferent, and he acted cruelly. Su Yu had already guessed Mo Yang's character. I've only taken 3 disciples in my entire life, and 2 of them died at the hands of Mo Yang. I won't be able to die in peace if I don't kill him, Master Ghost said. Because of this, I used the 3 million merit points that I've saved for half my life to issue an order to hunt down and kill Mo Yang. Anyone who kills him with their own hands will be rewarded with 3 million merit points. It wasn't that Master Ghost hadn't thought of hunting down Mo Yang himself, but, as the most important elixir master of the Red Blood Palace, he couldn't leave the faction for too long. Therefore, he could only issue an order to hunt down and kill him. I'm not asking you to find the 6 demons Xian core. After all these years, even if he didn't consume it himself, he should have sold it. If you can find it, do it. If you can't, it doesn't matter. However, you must bring his head back, Master Ghost said. After understanding the cause and effect of the matter, Su Yu's thoughts hadn't changed. If he accepted the mission and took the opportunity to leave the faction, it wouldn't be impossible to get rid of Mo Yang while he was at it. I can't tell what kind of realm that traitor's cultivation has reached in the past 10 years. The only thing I know is that his cultivation 10 years ago was 3rd grade almighty. However, I need to remind you that in the past 10 years, no less than 20 disciples of the faction have accepted this mission. All of them failed without exception and never came back. When you accept the mission, you must be prepared to die, Master Ghost said. Now, who else wants to accept the mission? None of the people present had left, as they were determined to win this mission. All right, if that's the case, why don't you tell us how confident you are in killing Mo Yang? The mission will be given to whoever is more confident, Master Ghost said. The 3 disciples of the inner sanctum looked confident. I, Ma Su, am not talented, but I'm proficient in the art of concealment. If I get close to Mo Yang, I'll surely be able to slit his throat. The 6th grade almighty disciple patted his waist with one hand. Then, his whole body gradually turned transparent. He was clearly standing on the same spot, but he couldn't be seen with the naked eye. What was even more amazing was that his scent had also disappeared. Master Ghost nodded. He was right in front of Ma Su, but he couldn't easily see through him. Coupled with Ma Su's 6th grade almighty cultivation, Mo Yang would most likely be killed by him. A faint smile appeared at the corners of Master Ghost's lips. Then, the other 2 5th grade almighty revealed their abilities, which were the tracking technique and the bug controlling technique. The tracking technique could track Mo Yang's tracks closely, while the bug controlling technique, which was an unorthodox skill, could poison Mo Yang to death. The 2 5th grade almighty were also very powerful existences among the same level. Master Ghost, these 2 junior brothers were invited by me to assist me in carrying out the mission. If you hand them over to me, I believe they will definitely behead the traitor Mo Yang, Ma Su said confidently. Master Ghost was very satisfied, while the long-bearded elder and Elder Jing nodded continuously. The combination of the 3 was very suitable for tracking and killing the enemy. If the mission was handed over to them, their chances of success would be very high. Haha, wait a moment. Master Ghost laughed and looked at Su Yu and the other 2. To be precise, he was looking at Bing Wuxin. Bing Wuxin's face was full of indifference. She held a cold sword in her bosom and glanced at Ma Su and the other 2. She didn't say anything, but a strong spiritual pressure flashed across her chest. Then, a tsunami-like pressure filled the whole place. Ma Su's expression tensed up, while Master Ghost and the other two hurriedly revolved their vital energy to protect themselves. Su Yu was also taken aback. He kept his distance and revolved his vital energy to protect himself. He turned his head sideways and stared at Bing Wuxin's shining chest, a strange light flickering in his eyes. There seemed to be something terrible hidden in her chest, which was releasing a chilly scent comparable to that of a ninth-grade almighty. Ninth-grade almighty. Su Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. What was going on with Bing Wuxin? The spiritual pressure disappeared in a flash, and she returned to her normal state. Bing Wuxin didn't say a word, but looked straight at Master Ghost. What did she mean? Master Ghost revealed a look of satisfaction, even joy. Ma Su looked wary. He looked at Bing Wuxin and seemed to have thought of something. What about you, little girl? Master Ghost looked at Gongsun Wuxia. I'm Sister Wuxin's follower. I don't have any skills. Gongsun Wuxia smiled sweetly. The corners of Master Ghost's mouth twitched slightly. How could he not know the famous Gongsun Wuxia of the outside sanctum? This little girl's identity and background were not simple. In the end, Master Ghost looked at Su Yu, and his face regained its indifference. He was puzzled because he didn't know this outer sanctum disciple at all, so he should be a nobody. How could a mere fifth-grade fairy dare to accept such a tricky task? What about you? Master Ghost asked curiously. Su Yu thought for a moment. Then, his arm glowed with a green light, and a figure was summoned from the 9-jade spiritual pearl. The sudden appearance of another person in the hall caught everyone off guard, and they were all on guard. When the light faded, the person's appearance became clear. It was none other than Hu Wangue, who had recovered from his injuries and had a fifth-grade almighty cultivation. Hu Wangue. While the rest of the people were surprised, the long-bearded elder was shocked, and he looked at Hu Wangue in disbelief. Elder Jing asked, Alliance Master Zhao, who is Hu Wangue? The long-bearded elder, Alliance Master Zhao, said in surprise. Hu Wangue is a high-level general manager dispatched by the Heavenly Knife region to Tianya City. He's in charge of the elixir industry and has some dealings with the Elixir Alliance. Isn't he from the Heavenly Knife region? Why is he in the Red Blood Palace? What? Someone from the Heavenly Knife region? Hostility and murderous intent rose in the people present, and even Su Yu was engulfed by it. Master Ghost stared at Su Yu and said in a deep voice, No matter how you hid him and made him appear out of thin air, he's one of our enemies. I don't have to tell you the consequences of bringing him into the inner sanctum without the sanctum's permission, do I? Su Yu didn't answer him directly. Instead, he looked at Hu Wangue and said, Kneel. Yes, master. Hu Wangue's eyes were clear, and there wasn't much confusion in them. His knees buckled, and he knelt in front of Master Ghost and the others. They were stunned by the scene once again. Is he being controlled by someone? Master Ghost's eyes shone with a shrewd light, and he was extremely shocked. Being able to control a fifth-grade almighty meant that the person controlling him either had a soul energy that was far superior to a fifth-grade almighty's, or had cultivated some powerful secret soul technique. Master Ghost stared at Su Yu, his old eyes squinting slightly. Can you tell me how you did it? A senior helped me subdue him, and he gave me control to use for self-defense. I can't tell you any more than that. Su Yu was neither servile nor overbearing. Everyone present was shocked. Bing Wuxin had a look of surprise on her face. Senior? What kind of senior would control a fifth-grade almighty and hand it over to a fifth-grade fairy? Elder Jing frowned slightly and chided, How can you be so secretive when your senior is questioning you? Tell me the truth. Su Yu lifted his eyes to look at her. He didn't like such a domineering attitude. He asked, Does being a student of the Red Blood Palace mean that I'm not allowed to keep any secrets? She was about to speak, but Master Ghost waved his hand and stopped her. He's right, I'm just issuing the mission, not interrogating him for secrets. Fine, a fifth-grade almighty is your trump card, but there are 2 5th-grade Almighty and a 6th-grade Almighty here. Do you think you're more confident in killing Mo Yang than them? In terms of strength, Su Yu was undoubtedly the weakest. He was alone, and his trump card was only a 5th-grade Almighty. Su Yu replied calmly, "He's not my trump card. Isn't my trump card the element of surprise just now?" Looking at the 3 students of the inner sanctum, Su Yu said, "Mo Yang will surely go all out when he fights with them, and I'm just a 5th-grade fairy. Did anyone here take me seriously just now?" Upon hearing this, Master Ghost fell silent. In fact, none of them had taken Su Yu seriously just now, but it was precisely because of this that they were shocked when he summoned a 5th-grade fairy, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Judging from Master Ghost's description just now, Mo Yang is cunning by nature, and confronting him head-on will only put him at a disadvantage. So, it's better to take him by surprise, and perhaps our chances of winning will be greater, Su Yu said nonchalantly. This was his greatest advantage. No matter how vigilant Mo Yang was, he wouldn't be overly guarded against a mere 5th-grade fairy. Negligence was often the most fatal weakness. Chapter 909. He glanced around and fixed his gaze on Bing Wuxin. "Bing Wuxin, I'll leave the mission to you." Ma Su and the others looked regretful, but they didn't feel wronged. Bing Wuxin was indeed more qualified than they were. "Oh yeah." Gongsun Wuxie jumped up and down in joy. She squinted at Su Yu and said gloatingly, "Humph, this is already in Sister Wuxin's pocket. You've wasted your efforts." Su Yu retrieved Huangue expressionlessly. He was disappointed, but not too disappointed. At most, he would find another mission that required him to be far away from the faction. He would just have to wait a few more days. Just as the situation was settled, a guard suddenly came in hurriedly, his lips moving as he transmitted a message to Master Ghost. Master Ghost was slightly shocked and quickly got up. "Invite her in." Alliance Master Zhao and Elder Jing were puzzled. "Old Ghost, what's the matter?" Master Ghost stared at Bing Wuxin and sighed softly. Bing Wuxin frowned. She had a bad feeling about this. Swish. Right at that moment, a meteor shot down from the sky and barged into the stone house. The air vibrated along the way, and the spiritual energy boiled. The whole stone house shook gently as if it was about to collapse. Such an imposing manner was no small matter. The meteor shot into the house and turned into a misty female figure. Elder Jing's face fell when she saw it. "Bing Wuqing, why are you here?" Bing Wuqing was Mo Tianxuan's last disciple and the chief disciple of the Red Blood Palace. It was rumored that she would probably win the battle against Lu Qi, who was known as the #1 female heaven ruler of the Blessed and Heavenly Lands. Her real strength was very likely to reach the 9th-grade Almighty level, which would allow her to fight Gu Taishu. In the faction, apart from the All Creation's old monsters, no one could be sure that they could suppress Bing Wuqing. Many elders of the inner sanctum, including the left and right palace masters, had to be courteous when they saw Bing Wuqing. Su Yu's eyes flickered slightly. So powerful! The figure before him wasn't her real body, but a clone of her will. That's right, a clone formed by will was usually less than 1/10 of the real body's aura. However, this clone gave Su Yu a feeling that it wasn't weaker than anyone present. Even the strongest person present, the 6th-grade Almighty Ma Su, was far inferior. If the will was so powerful, how powerful would the real body be? Su Yu felt like he was facing Gu Taishu. Even his clone was ridiculously powerful. "Does Marshal Niece Bing have any instructions for coming to my residence?" Master Ghost was rather courteous to Bing Wuqing, as though they were of the same generation. He did not treat her as a disciple at all. Bing Wuqing's figure was incomparably cold, and even the voice she spat out was icy. "Don't hand the mission to her. Otherwise, bear the consequences yourself." Her finger was pointing at Bing Wuxin. There was only a one-word difference between the two names. Bing Wuxin's usually cold and indifferent face was now surging with anger when she saw this figure. "Bing Wuqing, What right do you have to decide? Because I'm stronger than you. Don't forget our agreement. The weak will be dominated by the strong. Your life, your everything, all belong to me. Unless you surpass me one day. Bing Wuching tilted her head and said coldly. There was no emotion in her words. She was truly heartless. Are you trying to stop me from gathering 4 million merit points and entering the glittering jewel wonderland? Bing Wuxin clenched her teeth. Bing Wuching said, Yes, so what? If you dare to break the contract, I'll take your life immediately. When she finished speaking, Bing Wuching turned into a mass of light and shadow and dashed out of the stone house. The house fell into a long silence, and all that was left was Bing Wuxin's furious gaze. Sigh. Master Ghost laughed bitterly. Bing Wuxin, you heard me. I can't do anything about it. The mission can only be handed over to Ma Su. Bing Wuxin bit her lip and didn't refute, but deep sadness flashed in the depths of her eyes. Su Yu was beside her, and he could clearly feel that her delicate body was trembling slightly. There was anger and also sorrow. Ma Su, I'll hand the mission over to you. I hope you won't let me down, Master Ghost said. Ma Su was overjoyed. He bowed and said, Thank you, Master Ghost. Wait. At that moment, Su Yu spoke. Master, why don't you choose me? Everyone was stunned. This guy hadn't given up yet. Master Ghost had said that absolute strength was needed, not luck. Although Ma Su and the others weren't as strong as Bing Wuxin, they were far stronger than Su Yu. What else was there to consider? You! Master Ghost shook his head. There's no need to consider, however. Just as he was about to make up his mind, Alliance Master Zhao said thoughtfully, Old Ghost, hold on. Let me ask this student a question. Everyone was puzzled. Was Alliance Master Zhao interested in Su Yu? He was Master Ghost's senior brother from the same faction many years ago. They had a very close relationship, and their attainments in alchemy were equally matched. However, one of them had entered the Red Blood Palace, while the other was in Tianya City's Elixir Alliance. Can you tell me your name? Alliance Master Zhao stared at Su Yu and smiled amiably. Su Yu said, I'm Su Yuxian. Elder, what can I do for you? Upon hearing that, everyone except Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxia was taken aback. Ma Su exclaimed, Su Yuxian, the #1 person in the outside sanctum? I heard that you worked in Tianya City and sold a lot of heart-refining mortal dust liquid. Is that you? Master Ghost was taken aback as well, his old eyes flashing with surprise. Who in the inner sanctum didn't know Su Yuxian's name? Of course, what they cared about was not the heart-refining mortal dust liquid, but Su Yu's proficiency in Mu words. He had overpowered the Heavenly Knife region, and his status in the faction was quite high. He only needed to wait for Mo Tianxian to summon him, and he would be entrusted with heavy responsibilities and protection. In terms of status, he wasn't much lower than the elders of the inner sanctum. He had thought that Su Yu was an insignificant character, and he didn't expect him to be that famous guy. Elder Jing raised her eyebrows and her face darkened. So you're Su Yuxian. She had wanted to take Su Yuxian as her student, but she couldn't. She had sent someone to summon Su Yu to her mansion to await orders, only to bump into him here. Everyone had different expressions on their faces. Su Yu was calm and composed as he looked at Alliance Master Zhao. He had heard him addressed as Alliance Master Zhao just now, and he had some guesses about his identity. Ha ha ha, it's really you. Alliance Master Zhao laughed heartily. He stood up and came before Su Yu. He held Su Yu's hands in a friendly manner. I'm Zhao Ting of the Elixir Alliance. You saved a few of my granddaughters from the 3 murders gang a month ago, and I've been wanting to pay you a visit to thank you. I didn't expect that when I came out of isolation, you'd already returned to the faction. I've come to the Red Blood Palace this time to thank you. Master Ghost was surprised. Old Zhao, so he's the one who saved your naughty granddaughters? Alliance Master Zhao explained the purpose of his visit as soon as he arrived. He had planned to help Master Ghost inquire about the details after the mission was announced, but he didn't expect that person to be right in front of him. Haha, it's him. Not bad. He was the shopkeeper of the Tonglin elixir store 2 months ago. Alliance Master Zhao chuckled and patted Su Yu's shoulder. Back then, you were just an unknown little manager. I didn't expect that after I came out of isolation, you'd become a top master of Mu words. Su Yu smiled. Alliance Master Zhao, you're flattering me. As for saving your granddaughters, it was a piece of cake. You don't have to take it to heart. There's no reason not to repay the kindness of saving my life, Alliance Master Zhao said, retrieving a jade bottle from his sleeve. A 3-colored spiritual elixir lay quietly in it. Upon seeing the elixir, Master Ghost's eyes shone. This is the Moonless Triad elixir that you deciphered from the ancient elixir recipe, isn't it? I remember that you spent a lot of effort and energy on this elixir. The Moonless Triad elixir was an elixir recipe that was brought out along with the 6 demons' incredible elixir. They were both ancient elixir recipes. However, the elixir recipe was very abstruse and was filled with many lost words. As a result, it was only deciphered today after many years. Due to the scarcity of the elixir ingredients, only 3 elixirs were refined. He couldn't bear to use them himself, so he was prepared to give them to Su Yu. Haha, how could a single elixir compare to the lives of my 3 little granddaughters? Alliance Master Zhao chuckled as he stuffed the elixir into Su Yu's palm. I should have come out of isolation to thank you in person then, but I was at a critical juncture in refining this elixir, and I couldn't do anything to help. I'll give this newly refined Moonless Triad elixir to you. According to the elixir recipe, it has 2 effects for a middle-stage fairy like you. The first is to increase your cultivation. After swallowing it, you'll be able to advance from a 5th-grade fairy to a 7th-grade fairy. The second is to ward off poisons. After swallowing it, a layer of protective membrane will form in your body. Ordinary poisons won't be able to harm you anymore. Su Yu tried to take a step back, but Alliance Master Zhao insisted that Su Yu accept it. With a sullen face, he said, If you don't accept it, I'll summon my 3 granddaughters here. They'll kowtow and thank you at the entrance of the Red Blood Palace until you're satisfied. Since he had said so, Su Yu had no choice but to accept it. Gong Sun Wuxie stared at the elixir and licked her lips, looking like a little greedy cat. Back at the table, Alliance Master Zhao pondered it for a moment, then said with embarrassment, Old Ghost, it doesn't matter who you give the mission to. Why don't you give it to Su Yu? With him pleading for leniency, Master Ghost was put in a difficult position. But this time, we finally have conclusive news about Mo Yang. If we don't seize it, Old Ghost, I was the one who found out about this news. Shouldn't you give me some face? Alliance Master Zhao was displeased. He looked like he was supporting Su Yu. Master Ghost was speechless. He stared at Su Yu and sighed. But with his cultivation, aren't you worried that he'll lose his life? As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yu cupped his fists and said, Rest assured, Master Ghost, I'll definitely complete the mission. How can you guarantee it? Master Ghost asked with a frown. Su Yu smiled. With Bing Wuxin's assistance, is there anything else that you're worried about, Master Ghost? Upon hearing that, everyone was dumbfounded, as if they were looking at a monster who wasn't afraid of death. Bing Wuxing had just given him a warning, and now Su Yu dared to disobey her? Bing Wuxin shuddered, and she looked at Su Yu in disbelief. She had never thought that Su Yu would decide to let her assist him in completing the mission. Just 2 days ago, Su Yu had been completely ignoring her. When she came back to her senses, Bing Wuxin understood Su Yu's intentions. Her face turned cold. Who wants your sympathy? Without this mission, I can still gather 4 million merit points. Humph. Chapter 9-10. Bing Wuxin could use this opportunity to complete her mission and not succumb to Bing Wuxing's order to not carry out her mission. With her personality, she would naturally choose to rebel. Moreover, Su Yu would also be able to get a fighter like Bing Wuxin. To put it bluntly, the two of them were indeed using each other. Bing Wuxin's eyes narrowed. Not only did her face turn cold, but her eyes also turned cold. You are indeed a bastard. Good, let's use each other. I'll help you kill Mo Yang. She was really disappointed in Su Yu and no longer held any hope for him. Master Ghost's eyes shone brightly. Su Yuxian, you don't seem to know who Bing Wuqing is. I suggest you reconsider what she said just now. Su Yu replied indifferently. She made it very clear just now that Master Ghost isn't allowed to assign the mission to Bing Wuxing, but she didn't say that I'm not allowed to ask Bing Wuxing to assist me in the mission. Is there any conflict? Master Ghost was silent. What Master Ghost said was indeed reasonable. However, Bing Wuxing's words were very obvious. She did not want anyone to help Bing Wuxing reach her goal of 4 million merit points. Otherwise, they would be going against her wishes. Su Yu's actions were very risky. Don't worry, Master Ghost. I have a way to deal with it, Su Yu said. He really didn't understand Bing Wuxing, but he was going to leave the faction after this. So, no matter how strong Bing Wuxing was, what could she do? Master Ghost pondered for a long time before he reluctantly agreed. I hope you're mentally prepared. I'll leave the task to you. Su Yu smiled. Thank you, Great Master, for fulfilling my wish. Elder Jing, did you bring the 5 elements defense formation that we discussed earlier? Master Ghost looked at Elder Jing and said, We've already sacrificed too many disciples, so we can't let you take any more risk. Hence, I've discussed it with Elder Jing, and we've decided to lend you a set of formation flags for the time being. It has the defensive power of a 5th-grade Almighty, so it should be of great help to you. What startled Master Ghost was that Elder Jing's face darkened, and she stared at Su Yu with a cold smile. If it were someone else, I would lend it to him, but Su Yuxian. Haha, doesn't he feel good about himself? Why would he need the formation flags of an insignificant person like me? Everyone was startled, as it seemed like there was a conflict between Su Yu and Elder Jing. Su Yu cast an indifferent look at Elder Jing and said, It doesn't matter to me whether you have your formation flags or not. In other words, Elder Jing was a dispensable person in Su Yu's eyes. Elder Jing slammed the table and stood up. She was unusually irritable. You're courting death. She attacked without saying another word. She shot up like a shuttle shadow and headed straight for Su Yu. Master Ghost and Alliance leader Zhao wanted to stop them, but it was too late. Ma Su and the others were far away. Su Yu's eyes were calm. A palm-sized tower was hidden in his sleeve. Clenching his 5 fingers, Su Yu gathered the 5 elements of the universe and imbued them into the small tower. All of a sudden, ripples of 5 colors and 10 lights shot out from the small tower and surrounded Su Yu's body. Bang! Right at that moment, Elder Jing struck out with her palm. The palm contained the power of a 4th-grade Almighty, but it couldn't shake the ripples at all. Instead, it was the rebounding force that sent Elder Jing flying. How dare you retaliate, Elder Jing was enraged. To be more precise, she was enraged because she had been humiliated in front of everyone. However, a cold sigh could be heard. Help me. Although you are an elder, you might not be able to survive in the hands of a disciple like me. At the same time, Elder Jing felt a chill on her neck. There was an invisible silk thread twining around her neck. The silk thread emitted waves of terrifying energy. Elder Jing shuddered. Ma Su, Bing Wuxin, Master Ghost, and Alliance leader Zhao, who were far away, all shuddered with fear and trepidation. It was as if something extremely dangerous had appeared, but they couldn't see it with their naked eyes. Elder Jing sucked in a breath of cold air. She stood rooted to the spot, not daring to move an inch. The fury in her eyes receded and was replaced by terror. She looked at Su Yu's right hand, where his index finger and thumb were pinching an invisible object. She could feel that as soon as Su Yu's little finger moved, her head would roll to the ground. Does he have more powerful tricks up his sleeve? Looking at the magical 5-colored protective ripples and the mysterious silk thread, everyone's hearts couldn't help but beat faster. Bing Wuxin squinted her bright eyes. She suspected that even without her help, Su Yu could have killed Mo Yang all by himself. The trump cards that he had repeatedly used to surprise were enough to kill many strong men. After a moment of silence, Su Yu flicked his fingertips and retrieved the silk thread. The 5-colored ripples on the surface of his body dissipated on their own. Then, he glanced at Elder Jing and said, "I respect you as an elder. Don't do it again." His words were threatening, but no one thought that Su Yu was being arrogant. However, Su Yu also knew that the main reason he had been able to subdue her so easily was that she had underestimated him. Elder Jing clenched her teeth, her face flushed with shame. "Master Ghost, I'm really not needed here anymore. Farewell." Master Ghost tried to persuade her to stay, but Elder Jing ignored him and left. "It's good that you're leaving. Elder Jing's temper really needs to be suppressed. There are many complaints from the faction's disciples," Master Ghost sighed. He then looked at Su Yu with a shrewd gleam in his eyes. Even a 5th-grade Almighty would find it difficult to break his defense. A 5th-grade Almighty servant was an extremely dangerous silk thread. Su Yu had really hidden his strength well. He believed that any ignorant early-stage Almighty who stumbled into his hands would meet a miserable end. "Su Yuxian, I'll leave the mission to you. You can discuss among yourselves who you need help with and how many merit points you'll give them. We'll depart in 2 days. This is the location where Mo Yang was last seen. Open it after you're on your way." Master Ghost tossed a sealed letter slip to Su Yu. "Yes." After Su Yu and the others had left, Alliance Master Zhao asked worriedly, "Old Ghost, Elder Jing left just like that just now. Is she all right? Judging from her words and actions, she doesn't seem like a broad-minded person." He was worried that Elder Jing would harm Su Yu afterward. However, Old Ghost said, "Don't worry, she knows the severity of the situation. Su Yu is currently carrying out my mission, so she wouldn't dare do anything to him." Then I'm relieved. In Elder Jing's mansion, the house was a mess. 2 disciples were sitting down, and a group of maids were standing under the eaves, not daring to move. Listening to the continuous sound of things being smashed in the house, they felt bitter. After Elder Jing returned, she was smashing things in the house like a mad woman. She flew into a rage, as if she had suffered a great deal of frustration. After a long time, Elder Jing finally calmed down. Soon after, she left the mansion and went straight to somewhere in the inner sanctum. Xiao Chuanguang. Elder Jing came to the front of a secret chamber. The secret chamber opened, revealing Xiao Chuanguang himself. He looked around vigilantly and let Elder Jing in. "What do you think, Elder Jing? As long as you're willing to lend me the formation-breaking hammer, I'll agree to any condition," Xiao Chuanguang said. He had secretly looked for Elder Jing, hoping to borrow her original life treasure, the formation-breaking hammer, but was rejected. Now, she had come knocking on his door. Elder Jing's face was gloomy. "I can lend it to you, but you have to do something for me." "What is it?" Xiao Chuanguang asked. "Teach Su Yuxian of the outer sanctum a lesson. This person is extremely insolent, and if I don't punish him, I won't be able to quell the hatred in my heart," Elder Jing said with hatred. Xiao Chuanguang's face was filled with murderous intent, and he asked in a deep voice, "Su Yuxian, are you sure it's him?" "Why? Do you know him?" Elder Jing's eyes flickered. Xiao Chuanguang snorted coldly. "This person is always going against my Xiao family, and our hatred is not small. If it weren't for the right palace master, I would have crippled him from the outer sanctum. I didn't know you guys had such hatred." Elder Jing smiled knowingly. "All right, as long as you can help me teach Su Yu a lesson, I don't mind lending you the formation-breaking hammer. However, I can't lend you my original life treasure, as I only have one. If you lose or damage it, I'll be in big trouble. I can only lend you a talisman, which contains the power of the formation-breaking hammer. Although it can only be used once, it's enough. Xiao Chuanguang's eyes lit up. Thank you, Su Yuxian. Don't worry, even if he doesn't look for me, I'll look for him. However, I'm being watched by the right palace master now, so I can't act rashly. I'll strike when I find an opportunity. Elder Jing nodded with a cold smile. Then, her eyes flickered. Can you tell me why you want to borrow the formation-breaking hammer? This item is specially used to break seals. Could it be that you've discovered some ancient ruins? Elder Jing, you don't have to worry about that. Just leave the talisman to me. Xiao Chuanguang's eyes dimmed. Elder Jing didn't ask any more questions. She handed him a golden talisman and left in a hurry. A cold smile appeared at the corners of Xiao Chuanguang's mouth. Humph, I've finally gotten it. The Xiao family's good days are finally here. There's no need for me to stay in the Red Blood Palace any longer. When Su Yu returned to the Demon Mountain, Bing Wuxin followed behind him coldly. She stared at his back and asked coldly, I'll ask you again. Are you pitying me? Based on her estimation, Su Yu had some confidence in dealing with Mo Yang by himself. Hence, he had insisted on choosing her as his assistant. Perhaps he really couldn't bear to see her being suppressed by Bing Wuxing. If that was the case, she would never accept it. Su Yu turned around and looked at her. His eyes were indifferent. You're overthinking it. What do you have that deserves my pitying? Kill Mo Yang and his head will belong to me. You won't get anything. Upon receiving such an answer, Bing Wuxin slowly closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were filled with indifference. She brushed past Su Yu without saying a word. She would still follow Su Yu, just to show off to Bing Wuxing. She still accepted the mission. Gongsun Wuxia rolled her eyes at Su Yu and jogged to catch up with Bing Wuxin. She said, Sister Wuxin, ignore him. I have a way to crush Mo Yang's body. He won't get any merit points. Bing Wuxin didn't speak. She returned to the house silently and closed her eyes to meditate. Su Yu returned to the house and sighed inwardly. He had indeed helped Bing Wuxin out of pity. He was indifferent because he didn't want to have any ties with them before he left the faction. After a moment of silence, Su Yu took out the moonless tridirectional elixir, his eyes burning with passion. It was also an ancient elixir. Although it wasn't as amazing as the Six Demons' incredible elixir, it was still a rare and excellent elixir. He was about to leave the faction, so getting more rest would increase his chances of protecting himself. When he finished speaking, Su Yu gulped it down. As the elixir entered his body, a spicy sensation went down his throat. Su Yu almost vomited. Chapter 9:11. Back in the desolate evil jungle, Su Yu's outer dantian had already reached its full state. Now, his inner dantian was filled. The whole process lasted for a whole day. When the next morning came and the medicinal effects began to fade, Su Yu's inner dantian was successfully filled with vital energy. His abdomen felt a tearing pain, as if his dantian was about to be torn apart from the inside out. Then, with a deafening roar, his dantian was torn apart, expanding continuously until it was twice as big as before. Countless spiritual energies converged into vital energy liquid, falling into the vast vital energy lake. Even a ninth-grade fairy could not compare to such a vast vital energy lake. When a fairy broke through to the almighty level, the dantian would turn into a fetal crystal to supply vital energy. The larger the dantian, the more abundant the vital energy, and the more powerful the fetal crystal. At the same almighty level, the stronger the fetal crystal, the more vigorous the vital energy, and the greater the power of the same technique. Therefore, many ninth-grade fairies stopped at this level and kept refining their vital energy in preparation for obtaining even more powerful fetal crystals. Su Yu, as a sixth-grade fairy, already had a dantian that ordinary ninth-grade fairies could not match. How vast would his dantian be once he reached the ninth-grade fairy level? After all, the dantian would expand exponentially in the future. If everything went according to plan, when Su Yu's cultivation reached the 9th grade fairy level, his Dantian would reach the level of 6 9th grade fairies. If he used this as a foundation to break through to the almighty level, his fetal crystal would probably be nature-defying. With the breakthrough in cultivation, Su Yu's soul energy also increased, reaching the level of a 7th grade fairy. His physical strength also increased during the breakthrough. Combined with the first dragon's body, Su Yu now had the power to fight a 1st grade almighty. Apart from that, Su Yu also discovered that there was a tricolored membrane inside his body. It was faintly discernible, existing between his skin and flesh. It was like a layer of defense blocking foreign objects from entering his pores. This must be the poison-repelling effect of the moonless tridirectional elixir, Su Yu thought to himself. With the Milky Way star sand in hand, Su Yu was not necessarily afraid of poisons. His only worry was that the poisons would be too fierce, and he would not have time to use the Milky Way star sand. This layer of poison-repelling defense made up for the Milky Way star sand's weakness. After the cultivation, Su Yu's heart shook, and his soul entered the 9-jade spiritual pearl. 2 months had passed, and he wondered to what extent the little Kylan had refined the heavenly orchid silver bamboo to. Within the spiritual bead, under a large tree, the little Chilan sat cross-legged like a human. It continued to spit out extremely terrifying flames from its mouth. Above its head floated densely packed purple fireballs the size of water droplet. Each fireball was embedded with a melted silver droplet. At this moment, the heavenly orchid silver bamboo in front of the little Kylan had already been refined to the point where only the rhizome was left. The main trunk had been refined. Spitting out a fireball, it enveloped the last drop of silver liquid. The little Kylan grabbed onto the heavenly orchid silver bamboo's rhizome and inserted it into the supreme growing soil. In this way, after a few years, the rhizome would once again grow a complete heavenly orchid silver bamboo. Whoosh! The small Kylan dashed forward and jumped onto Su Yu's shoulder. It then gestured with its small hands and wore an aggrieved look on its face. "You've worked hard during this period of time. I'll let you out soon." How could Su Yu not know the little Kylan's plan? It wanted to take this opportunity to go out and have some fresh air. As long as it left the faction, the little Kylan could go out at will. Instantly, the little Kylan blinked its sapphire blue eyes and jumped excitedly. The refinement has been successful. How much longer will it take to condense the sword body? Su Yu asked. The little Kylan counted with its hooves and said, 10 days to form the sword embryo, and 20 days to form the sword body. Within 2 months I should be able to craft 3 swords. However, after the success of the 3 swords, I won't be able to craft the rest for the time being. Unknowingly, the little Kylan's speech had become more and more fluent, unlike before. Oh? What's going on? Why can't you craft more? Su Yu's eyes were filled with surprise. The little Kylan looked at the sky and pointed at its head with its hooves. Recently, there's a voice in my head telling me that I'll fall into a deep sleep in 2 months. He wants to teach me more things. I wanted to reject him, but he ignored me. Su Yu's eyes shone brightly. Him? Who is it? The little Kylan is proficient in refining elixirs and crafting equipment. Could it be related to the voice in its head? In 2 months, you don't have to worry about crafting equipment anymore. You can learn from the voice in your head with a peace of mind, Su Yu said. This matter concerned the little Kylan's future, so Su Yu would not let it sacrifice its future for a few swords. Moreover, 3 swords were enough to form a small sword formation. As for its might, Su Yu was looking forward to it. Next, Su Yu went to visit Shingo. She was still comprehending the 2 ghost prison tokens. One of them was an early-stage Almighty's ghost prison token. She had already comprehended its legacy, but she was deep in thought about the other one. After all, it was a ghost prison token left behind by an all-creations ghost. Its legacy was very complicated, and it would be difficult for her to continue it by herself. Su Yu did not disturb her. He left the spiritual pearl quietly. After returning to his body, he started to meditate and adjust his breathing, consolidating his newly advanced level 6 fairy realm. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and the next morning arrived. 2 auras appeared in the courtyard. Suyu opened his eyes, stood up, and walked out of the courtyard. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie were standing side by side in the courtyard, quietly waiting for Suyu to wake up. Both of them wore cold expressions. It seemed like there was a deep estrangement between them and Suyu. "Did you follow me?" Suyu looked at Gongsun Wuxie. Gongsun Wuxie raised her head and snorted. "I followed Sister Wuxin, not you." Suyu nodded and left the Demon Mountain without saying anything else. As he stood at the foot of the Demon Mountain, Suyu turned his head around and looked at the Demon Mountain, where he had stayed for more than half a year. Bing Wuxin, who had just witnessed this scene, revealed a thoughtful look. Right at that moment, a whiff of fragrance assaulted his nostrils. Under a tree, a lithe and graceful figure was standing gracefully in the morning mist. She seemed like a woman who had stepped on the morning mist. "You're leaving, yet you didn't come to say goodbye to me?" The alluring cabinet mistress teased him as she walked over slowly. As she approached him, Suyu saw that there were fine droplets of water on her long eyelashes. Her blue shawl was also soaked with dew. She had come here for a long time, and she had waited for a long time. Cabinet mistress. Suyu was startled, and he apologized. "I left in a hurry, so I didn't have time to say goodbye. Please forgive me." The alluring cabinet mistress covered his mouth with a finger as she said, "I don't need to forgive you. It's just that I have a favor to ask of you." As she spoke, she took out a space ring from her sleeves and handed it to Suyu. "You're carrying out a mission outside, so if it's on your way, help me deliver something." Suyu agreed without hesitation. "Okay, where should I deliver it to?" "There's a silver jade pendant in the space ring. You can take a look at it after you leave the faction. You'll find instructions there," the alluring cabinet mistress said. Suyu glanced at the space ring and raised his brows slightly. 1,400,000 crystals? Cabinet mistress, who are you going to give it to? The alluring cabinet mistress snorted softly. "What? Are you tempted at the sight of money? Let me tell you, if you're missing even a single word." "Humph." Suyu rolled his eyes. He still had 70 million crystals in the space ring, so how could a mere 1,400,000 possibly tempt him? "Do you think that everyone loves money as much as their lives like you?" Suyu waved his hand angrily, put away the ring and turned to leave. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie looked at the alluring cabinet mistress with an odd expression. Both of them seemed to be deep in thought. After walking out of the faction, Suyu turned his head to look back. In the mist, the alluring figure was still standing there silently. Perhaps this was their last farewell. With a sigh, Suyu strode out of the faction and into the boundless wilderness. Half a day later, they arrived in front of a wasteland. "Once we're out of the wasteland, we'll be out of the Red Blood Palace's territory. It's time to take a look at the clues that Master Ghost gave us," Suyu said as he took out a letter. The three of them landed. Bing Wuxin wasn't in a hurry. "Instead," she said, "before you read the letter, you might as well take a look at who your charming lover is giving the crystals to." Suyu thought about it and agreed. If it was along the way, he might as well go there first, then focus on hunting down Mo Yang. Suyu took out the ring, ignoring the huge amount of crystals in it. Then, he took out the recording jade pendant and pressed it against his ear. A soft voice fell into his ears. "Brother Yuxian, take good care of yourself. A martial artist's life is like a firefly's light in the mortal world, extinguished in an instant. I hope that you can come back to see me in your lifetime, no matter if it's me or my grave. I don't have many friends in this life, but you're one of them. I'll give you the crystals, so take care of yourself." Boom. Suyu's mind buzzed, and he felt as if his heart had been hammered hard by something. Pain, shock, and numbness in his heart that had been numbed for a long time seemed to have been forcibly opened. The endless warmth that gushed into his heart made Suyu feel lost. It turned out that she had a premonition that Su Yu wouldn't come back, so she had been waiting at the foot of the Demon Mountain in the middle of the night to send him off. Martial artists rarely had good endings during their training. Their seemingly long lifespans could pass in the blink of an eye during training. No one knew when they would die. Perhaps they would die in isolation, perhaps they would die at the hands of their enemies, or perhaps they would collapse in a pool of blood. After this farewell, the next time Su Yu saw the alluring cabinet master's grave might be the next time. An inexplicable sadness welled up in his heart. Xuelian, Su Yu murmured softly, speaking her real name for the first time. Bing Wuxin hugged the long sword and said, "A few days ago, she sold 10 bottles of the heart-refining mortal dust liquid, only asking for crystals. Later, she sold all of her merit points, which amounted to 300,000, and exchanged them all for crystals. I guess the crystals she exchanged are all in here. I really couldn't tell that she was so affectionate and loyal to you." In the morning, when she saw the alluring cabinet master sending him off with such a huge amount of crystals, she had been surprised, because Xuelian's 300,000 merit points had all been taken by her. What? Su Yu was shocked once again. She had even sold her own merit points. Moreover, it was 300,000. After spending some time with Xuelian, how could Su Yu not understand her situation? She was besieged both internally and externally, and she had to rely on herself to earn merit points. 300,000 was what she had accumulated over the years. Such a woman, who loved money as much as her life, had left everything to Su Yu. An indescribable emotion welled up in his heart. Chapter 9:12. Su Yu tore open the horizon and released Huangui at the same time. Then, with the cultivation of a 5th-grade almighty, he flew into the sky. 2 hours later, in the alluring cabinet master's mansion. It was quiet and empty inside. Even Xuelian's cultivation cave was empty, as if it had been taken away. "Where is she?" Su Yu grabbed her personal maid and asked. The maid said strangely, "Ah? Didn't the Vice Hall Master say that he would go out with you on a mission and meet up with you early in the morning? Don't tell me you haven't met yet?" "What?" Su Yu was startled once again. He then rushed to the Hall of Missions to check the missions that had already been accepted. Before a mission, Su Yu saw a name, Xuelian. The mission was to head to the Heavenly Knife region and secretly receive important intelligence from the undercover agent planted by the Red Blood Palace in the Heavenly Knife region. She had gone on an extremely dangerous mission. It wasn't unusual for the Blessed and Heavenly Lands and the Heavenly Knife region to plant spies in each other's factions. Both sides were well aware of it, and so they put great effort into investigating it. Once discovered, there would be no chance of survival. Of all the missions in history, this type of mission was the most dangerous. Less than 30% of people could return alive. Why did she have to take the risk? When Su Yu looked at the mission's reward, which was 30,000 merit points, he suddenly felt a pang in his heart. She exchanged all of her merit points for crystals and gave them to Su Yu, yet she still took the risk to fight for more crystals? For a moment, Su Yu was in a dilemma. Did he still have to leave the faction? Perhaps it was just as she had said. A martial artist's life was like a firefly in the mortal world, extinguished in an instant. The next time Su Yu returned, what he would see would be a lonely grave. You can set your mind at ease. She has carried out similar missions many times, and she's the Red Blood Palace's best informant. Nothing will happen to her. A voice echoed above Su Yu's head. It was the voice of the Grand Palace Lord. How much did he see and how much did he know? Raising his head, he could only hear the voice, but no one could be seen. After remaining silent for a long time, Su Yu silently walked out of the faction, his inner thoughts gradually wavering. Was there no other way but to escape? Su Yu clenched his fists, his heart surging with hatred. When he arrived at the Jiuzhou continent, he had been chased by the Golden Light Guards. He had been in danger several times, but in the end, he still had to flee like a stray dog. Could it be that he could only escape? A sharp light gradually gathered in the depths of his eyes. Running away would not solve the problem. 2 hours later, Su Yu returned to the wasteland and met up with Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie. Looking into the distance, Su Yu said, "Let's go. Let's end this quickly." Bing Wuxin stared at Su Yu's back, while a peculiar feeling welled up in her heart. Su Yu had changed her greatly, and it seemed as if something about him had changed. Not long after they left, a purple light flashed across the sky in front of the wasteland. In front of the Red Blood Palace, in the fairy confining forest, 5 golden beams of light traversed the void and descended into the forest. The 5 of them shone with golden light, and a sun and moon crown revolved around their heads, emitting an aura that caused all living beings to tremble. "It's here. Looks like I'm right." A ferocious sneer appeared at the corners of the bright light guard's mouth. "It turns out that he's really hiding in the Red Blood Palace." He had mastered the heart tribulation flame, and he managed to find Su Yu's approximate location by relying on the tribulation flames left in his body. It was the Red Blood Palace. The other 4 bright light guards also revealed cold expressions. "We've been chasing him for more than half a year, and we've finally come to an end. Leader, let's take action." The bright light guard nodded. A flame-like heart was beating on his chest, emitting wisps of black tribulation flames. Several hours ago, he appeared at the faction's gate. It seems like he has left the faction and is heading toward. The bright light guard's leader was unexpectedly able to accurately determine Su Yu's whereabouts, and he didn't even miss the time. However, before he could finish his sentence, he suddenly froze. "Hold on. Who's interfering with my senses?" The bright light guard's leader's pupils contracted. The other bright light guards were also shocked. The person who could obstruct the senses must have a great ability, and he was at least stronger than the leader. "Is it Mo Tianxian?" The bright light guards revealed looks of dread. In the last battle with Mo Tianxian, if they hadn't relied on the Central Prefecture's king's projection to repel her, at least one of the 5 of them would have died, and the others would have been severely injured. Mo Tianxuan's fighting prowess was so great that no one below the Jiuzhou king was confident of fighting her. Even if the 5 of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for Mo Tianxian. If they ran into Mo Tianxian here, it would be quite disadvantageous for them. No. If this woman really did it, she would have rushed out long ago. The leader of the bright light guards shook his head. "It should be another extremely strong person. If I'm not mistaken, it was this person who erased most of the disastrous flames on that lad's body, which led to our failure in hunting him down. It seems like that lad is protected by an expert. We have to be careful," the leader of the bright light guards said. The other 4 bright light guards said, "But we have no way of knowing where he went." The leader of the bright light guards said, "Don't worry. Although the senses have been cut off, and we can't pinpoint his exact location, we can still determine his approximate location. It'll just take some effort. Let's go. If we're discovered by that crazy woman, it'll be troublesome." The leader of the bright light guards led the others and flew away. Not long after they left, the demonic energy in the space surged violently, and a woman clad in black energy stepped out. This woman was Mo Tianxian. Bright light guards? They still dare to come to the Red Blood Palace? Mo Tianxuan's eyes were filled with killing intent, and a strange look appeared on her face. Why did they come here? Are they looking for something? She had been wondering why the bright light guards had appeared in Yuling Mountain, and now they had appeared in the outer sanctum of the Red Blood Palace. They were acting suspiciously, as if they were looking for something. Since the 5 great bright light guards had been mobilized, the thing they were looking for must be quite important. It seems like it's necessary to investigate the people and matters of the faction recently, and see if they have anything to do with the appearance of the bright light guards. Mo Tianxuan's eyes flickered, and she retreated into the void. She looked in the direction where the bright light guards had disappeared and snorted coldly. "You guys left fast. 5 days later, 3 people arrived at a city that was neither too big nor too small. One of them had white hair and looked like an immortal, the other was extremely beautiful and cold, and the last one was as sweet and lively as a fairy. The 3 of them attracted many people's attention. According to Master Ghost's letter, it was the city master of Tianyuan City who had discovered some clues. He used to be an alchemist of the Elixir Alliance, and he was indebted to Alliance Master Zhao. After learning about Mo Yang's traces, he immediately informed Alliance Master Zhao, who then told Master Ghost about it. "Let's go see the city master first," Bing Wuxin said. Suyu looked around and frowned slightly. "Wait, we can't go there like this. Tianyuan City is under the jurisdiction of the Soul-Seizing Palace, and many strong men of the Soul-Seizing Palace have been stationed there. They might recognize us. Once our identities are exposed and spread, it will be very disadvantageous to capturing Mo Yang." "Humph! I don't need you to remind me." Gongsun Wuxie was a little indignant, and she dragged Bing Wuxin into a small alley. Suyu shook his head. If he hadn't reminded them, the 2 of them would have swaggered around the street. They followed them, and the group chose a secluded alley and found their way to the mansion of the Tianyuan City Master. Swoosh! The 3 of them flipped over and entered, avoiding the many guards, and hurried all the way to the cavern where the Tianyuan City Master trained. However, the Tianyuan City Master wasn't among them. Suyu's heart skipped a beat. His eyes were filled with silver light as he scanned the entire mansion. Any hindrance was useless under the transparent eye. Every blade of grass and every tree in the mansion was under Suyu's control. At that moment, as Suyu's eyes swept across a side chamber, he found 2 elders. One of them was a 4th-grade Almighty Elder. He had a hideous scar on his forehead, and half of his ear had been shaved off. He was the Tianyuan City Master. The reason why Suyu was so sure was that there were many elixirs at the Almighty level that could heal physical injuries. Even if they were missing an arm or a leg, they could most likely find elixirs to heal it. Almighty who were disabled like the Tianyuan City Master was very rare. The other one was a 5th-grade Almighty middle-aged man. He looked ordinary, but his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. His most obvious feature was the purple crescent moon between his brows. The door of the side chamber was tightly shut, and it seemed like they were discussing something in secret. All of a sudden, the crescent moon middle-aged man seemed to have sensed something, and he looked in Suyu's direction. The purple crescent moon flashed, and Suyu felt a sharp pain in his eyes. Shocked, Suyu withdrew his transparent eye. "Who is that? He can actually sense the existence of the transparent eye, and he can even dispel it." Suyu was surprised. After a moment of silence, Suyu said, "Do you know of such a person in Tianyuan City?" Suyu described the middle-aged man's appearance in detail. Bing Wuxin didn't even think about it before she said, "You're talking about the Soul-Seizing Palace's 3rd elder, the Purple Moon Demonic Man, right? An elder of the Soul-Seizing Palace?" Suyu had a bad feeling about this. All the elders of the Soul-Seizing Palace had seen Suyu's appearance when he reverted to his age state, so this 3rd elder must know him too. Once he saw Suyu's current appearance, he would surely recognize him as Yin Yu, who was wanted by the Central Prefecture. Once his identity was exposed, Suyu's aged body would lose its concealment function. "Why did you mention him all of a sudden?" Bing Wuxin didn't notice Suyu's unusual behavior. Suyu laughed it off. "I saw him on the street just now." "Oh, I see. There's nothing strange about it. The Purple Moon Demonic Man is in charge of the jurisdiction of this area," Bing Wuxin said. Suyu didn't suspect anything, and he waited quietly. After half a cup of tea's time, a 4th-grade Almighty Elder with a broken right ear rushed over. He looked at Suyu and the others from afar, and his eyes were filled with delight. He picked up his pace and said, "I was wondering who had barged into my city master's mansion. So it's the 3 emissaries from the Red Blood Palace. My apologies for not coming out to greet you." His eyes swept over Su Yu and the others, and for a moment, his gaze fixed on Bing Wuxin. His eyes were filled with dread, as if he knew how powerful Bing Wuxin was. "You're the city master of Tianyuan City, Erling?" Bing Wuxin sized up the elder. "That's me. Emissaries, please follow me. I've been waiting for you for a long time," Erling said as he led Su Yu and the others to a secret chamber. This secret chamber happened to be the one where Su Yu had seen him having a secret conversation with the Purple Moon demonic man just now. Erling was very polite to them, and he didn't look down on them just because they had the fairy cultivation. "Lord Emissary, this is the spiritual tea that I've specially prepared for you. It's obtained from Tianya City, and it's very rare. It can calm the mind and prolong one's life." Erling brewed a few cups of tea. Su Yu and the others didn't move an inch, and they had no intention of drinking the tea. "City Master you'd better inform us of Mo Yang's whereabouts as soon as possible. We have an important mission at hand, and we can't afford to delay," Bing Wuxin said coldly. Erling was embarrassed, and he clapped his hands. A servant girl came over with a long, black wooden box. The long box was filled with dense Yin energy. "Lord Emissary, this is the trace of Mo Yang that I found." Erling placed the long box on the table and opened it slowly. All of a sudden, a gust of Yin energy assaulted their faces. Su Yu and the others couldn't help but wrinkle their noses, and they unleashed their vital energy to protect themselves to prevent the Yin energy from entering their bodies. When the Yin energy dissipated, the object in the long box was revealed. It was a black, severed arm that looked like coal. The inside of the severed arm was empty, and there was only a layer of skin on the surface. It was extremely strange. Gongsun Wuxia snorted and said, "Old man, what can you see from a dead man's arm? Are you trying to fool me?" Bing Wuxin interrupted her, and her eyes shone with shrewd light. "No, this isn't an ordinary arm. It's the skin that was shed by someone who cultivated some kind of demonic technique." Chapter 9:13. Exactly. The Red Blood Palace has a legendary level demonic technique, called the Holy Demon Transcendence Scripture. It has a total of 3 stages, and every time a martial artist succeeds in cultivating it, he or she will experience a complete transformation. I'm talking about the true transformation. From the bones to the essence of blood, to the appearance, everything will change dramatically, and the martial artist's strength will rise accordingly. It was very famous in the faction in the past, but unfortunately, when Mo Yang betrayed the faction, he took it along with him. Until now, Mo Yang is the only one who has been cultivating this scripture. If this severed arm really belonged to Mo Yang, then the news of Mo Yang's appearance is definitely true, Bing Wuxin said. Upon hearing this, Su Yu understood that there were cultivation techniques in the world that could allow martial artists to transform like animals. If that's the case, the appearance of Mo Yang now is no longer the Mo Yang of 10 years ago? Su Yu asked. Bing Wuxin nodded. Yes, that's why he was able to hide safely for 10 years despite being hunted down many times. No one knows what level his Holy Demon Transcendence Scripture has reached, and no one knows how many times he has transformed. There's no way to find out what his appearance looks like. Su Yu frowned deeply as he stared at the severed arm. The only way to find Mo Yang is with this arm. City Master, where did you find this arm? They could only search carefully at the place they found to see if they could find any clues. Haha, don't worry, emissaries. Before you arrived, I ordered people to investigate in secret. Now we've found Mo Yang's hiding place. The city master smiled. Although he looked ferocious, he was very warm-hearted. Bing Wuxin's eyes lit up. Really? Where is it? I'm just a lowly city master. Would I dare to deceive the emissaries? I only hope that you can put in a few good words for me in the Red Blood Palace. The city master smiled sheepishly. If he performed meritorious service in this matter, and was rewarded by the Red Blood Palace, the soul-seizing palace that governed him would more or less reward him. Bing Wuxin nodded. Of course. Where is he hiding? According to my people's investigation, after Mo Yang transformed, he became very weak. In order not to attract attention, he hid in a remote and desolate village with tens of thousands of people. The city lord's expression was solemn as he said, however, my people are unable to get close because Mo Yang is extremely vigilant. He will change his hiding place at the slightest sign of trouble. The tracking experts I hired have lost him several times because of this. So, if you really want to capture Mo Yang, you better be prepared. If you pursue him openly like this, Mo Yang will most likely escape. Bing Wuxin's eyes flashed. In your opinion, what should we do? The city lord was already prepared for this. He suggested, it would be best if you pretend to be a family that is passing by this village. In order to avoid Mo Yang's suspicion, I suggest that the three of you pretend to be a mortal family that is fleeing from a disaster. Bing Wuxin was taken aback when she heard that. A family of mortals fleeing from a calamity? Us and him? She pointed at Su Yuxian. That's right. I have a few special talismans that can hide your cultivation completely. You will look like mortals, and you will surely be able to fool Mo Yang's eyes and ears. The city lord said, as long as you successfully sneak into the village and ask around, you should be able to find out where Mo Yang is. After all, it is only a small village with a limited number of people. If a stranger comes, they will know better. As soon as he finished speaking, Gongsun Wuxie jumped to her feet. I strongly object. If we pretend to be a family, what will I be? Bing Wuxin said indifferently, isn't it great to be my younger sister? If you are my daughter, that's fine too. I don't want to be a daughter. I am already 18 years old. Gongsun Wuxie bounced her short body, her face flushed. What about him? Gongsun Wuxie pointed at Suyu. Suyu said indifferently, whatever. I don't mind being your grandfather. Get lost. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie said in unison. Seeing that they couldn't reach an agreement, the city lord shifted his gaze and said, why don't this emissary pretend to be a mortal landowner, and the two ladies pretend to be the landowner's wives? Other than that, it's hard to come up with a better choice. Bing Wuxin didn't have any objections. She never cared about things like reputation. Only Gongsun Wuxie was furious. How could this be? However, Ling was right. With their ages, it would be difficult for them to have suitable identities among mortals. If they were grandfather and grandson, the age gap between the two granddaughters would be too large. Only this kind of old landowner married two beautiful wives, which fit the status of mortals. Sure, but if you dare to touch us, don't blame me for being rude. Bing Wuxin said coldly. Suyu said indifferently, up to you. I've never had any other thoughts about you. The three of them stared at each other as they reached an agreement. Gentlemen, let's not waste any more time. I'll bring the three emissaries to that remote mountain village. If there's a need, I'll be at your service, Ling said. Suyu didn't refuse. After all, a fourth-grade almighty could be of great help at crucial moments. Ling led them out of Tianyuan City and galloped toward a desolate mountain. Along the way, they could vaguely see small human cities, almost all of which were inhabited by mortals. The famous 100,000 great mountains are ahead of us. The terrain is complicated, and many mortals live in the mountains all their lives, unable to leave them. Coupled with the lack of resources there, almost no martial artists are willing to venture deep into it. Mo Yang has indeed found a good place to recuperate here, Ling said as he looked at the dark, continuous mountain range. 100,000 great mountains? Suyu looked ahead, and an obscure light flickered in the depths of his pupils. 3 days later, even with their speed, they still couldn't cross the 100,000 great mountains. Instead, they landed outside an extremely ordinary village. Ling's expression turned grave as he led the three of them down. We've arrived. Mo Yang's hiding place is ahead of us. Here are 3 talismans that can help you hide your scent. He took out 3 purple-red talismans. Their colors were very strange, and they looked a little evil and bloody. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie were a little surprised. They were experienced and knowledgeable people, but they didn't recognize these talismans. These are the latest talismans that have been restored from the ancient times. They are called the Sumeru breathtaking talismans, and they were famous talismans in the ancient times. Once they are pasted on the body, they can conceal their scents, the city master said. As he spoke, he pasted one on his chest, and the talisman immediately disappeared. At the same time, his martial artist's scent was immediately suppressed. Standing before them, Su Yu and the others didn't detect the slightest bit of martial artist's scent. Is it that amazing? Gongsun Wuxie was the most curious, and her eyes lit up as she took one of the talismans. She naughtily pasted it on her forehead, and all of a sudden, her scent quickly dissipated, and she became an ordinary 10-year-old girl. Bing Wuxin's eyes flickered slightly. After seeing the city master put one on, she took another one and pasted it on her waist. Her 9th-grade fairy cultivation dissipated right after. When it was Su Yu's turn, he took one without hesitation and pasted it on his chest. In this way, all three of them had become extremely ordinary mortals. Let's go. Bing Wuxin held the long sword in her hands, strode forward with her slender legs, and took the lead. Behind her, Su Yu walked out unhurriedly. What? Are you going to leave me behind just like that? We don't look like a squire and a concubine. Bing Wuxin's pretty eyes turned cold, and she turned around fiercely. She gritted her teeth, but in the end she stopped and waited. She said stiffly, "Master, let's go." Su Yu smiled. "Ha ha, my two beloved concubines, come with me." Old hooligan! Gongsun Wuxie clenched her fists angrily. She and Bing Wuxin stood on either side of Su Yu. Although the relationship between the three of them seemed stiff, it still seemed like it at first glance. When they arrived at the village, smoke was rising from the chimneys, children were frolicking on the streets, and the cows and sheep were returning to their sheds. It was a joyous and harmonious scene. The arrival of Su Yu and his two companions immediately attracted people's attention. After all, they were three extremely unfamiliar faces. Big sister, little sister, and old grandpa. Who are you? A little boy with a dog's tail, who was wearing ragged pants, asked them while biting his finger. He looked very innocent and natural. Bing Wuxin said, "There was a plague in my and younger sister's village, and many people died. We escaped and came here with great difficulty. Who are your parents? Are they at home? We want to stay in the village for a night. Can you take us to meet your parents?" The boy nodded. "Sure, my parents are in the house. They will surely welcome you. Come with me." The boy skipped and ran all the way, leading Su Yu and his companions back to his home. What a peaceful village! Gongsun Wuxie looked around and muttered to herself. Su Yu looked straight ahead, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Is that so? Under the boy's guidance, they came to a dilapidated courtyard. It was ordinary and clean, and the flowers and plants in the courtyard were well taken care of. It could be seen that the boy's parents were very hard-working. Pushing open the courtyard door, the boy pointed at the house in the middle. "Big sister, little sister, old grandpa, go in. Father and mother are in the house." Gongsun Wuxie looked at the closed doors and windows, and asked curiously, "It's dusk, why are the doors and windows closed?" The boy's small face darkened. "Mother is seriously ill, and she can't be exposed to the wind. So, the doors and windows are usually closed." "I see. Little sister, I'm a fairy, and I can surely save your mother." Gongsun Wuxie giggled. She used her vital energy to heal mortals, and most diseases could be cured. A bright smile appeared on the boy's face, and he nodded. Bing Wuxin knocked on the door. "Is the owner in?" There was no response. Bing Wuxin frowned slightly, and pushed the door subconsciously. However, the door was not closed, and it was easily pushed open. However, the moment it was pushed open, a bloody smell assaulted their senses. The stench of blood was nauseating. Bing Wuxin's expression tensed up, and she shouted softly, "Be careful! There are dead bodies inside, and they've been dead for at least 10 days. Wait, that boy, there's something wrong with him." Bing Wuxin came back to her senses. How could one not know that one's parents had been dead for 10 days? However, when she looked back, the boy was nowhere to be seen. He had run out of the yard, and his pure and adorable face was full of malevolence and a cold smile. "Who are you?" Bing Wuxin's eyes turned cold. The boy crossed his arms in front of his chest, and his eyes were full of calmness and vicissitudes that did not match his age. His voice was also hoarse. "Aren't you looking for me?" The three of them were taken aback, and their expressions changed drastically. "Are you Mo Yang?" The boy laughed hideously. "What do you think? That's great. I swallowed 2 4th-grade Almighty and a 5th-grade Almighty last time, and I shed my skin. This time, there are 3 more, especially you, Bing Wuxin. I've been wanting to taste your bloodline for a long time." Bing Wuxin's eyes narrowed. "How did you know I'm Bing Wuxin?" They had never met before, and Bing Wuxin lived in seclusion in the faction. How could Mo Yang know her? He, of course, it was me who told you." A familiar chuckle reached their ears. An old man, with a scar across his forehead and a missing right ear, stood in the air with his hands clasped behind his back, looking at them with a smile. Ling, you plotted with Mo Yang to lure the inner sanctum disciples of the Red Blood Palace here?" Bing Wuxin suddenly realized that she had finally discovered the trap. Ling chuckled sinisterly. "Isn't it too late for you to realize it now? If this matter were to spread back to the faction, it would surely cause a huge commotion. A city master under their jurisdiction had actually colluded with Mo Yang to harm the disciples of the faction. The smell of blood coming from the house was most likely from the inner sanctum disciples who had chased after Mo Yang. A cold smile appeared at the corners of Bing Wuxin's mouth. "Is that so? Do you think that you can kill us with the help of Mo Yang?" The little boy, Mo Yang, laughed coldly. "You still don't know when you're about to die. Ling, don't waste your breath on her. Let's do it." Ling chuckled, and a cruel light flickered in his eyes. "Bing Wuxin, I admit that I'm no match for you, but you seem to have forgotten something." He patted his chest, and a purple-red talisman slowly emerged. "Haha, I forgot to tell you that this summer respiration talisman, in addition to concealing one's aura, has a huge side effect, and that is—" Ling smiled coldly. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxia's expressions changed at the same time, and they patted their chests hurriedly, trying to throw the talisman away. However, it was too late. Bing Wuxin suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest, and a soul-piercing cold energy crazily invaded her body, freezing her limbs and veins. She wanted to revolve her vital energy to resist it, but when her vital energy came into contact with the cold energy, it was frozen. Bing Wuxin was horrified. What kind of cold energy is this? Why is it so terrifying? Gongsun Wuxia's small face turned pale, and a layer of ice gradually appeared on the surface of her body. Her small mouth trembled as she said, This is not cold energy. Cold poison. Cold poison was also a kind of poison." Crack! The two of them were frozen into ice sculptures in a few breaths' time. They stood motionless on the spot, and only fear could be seen in their eyes. The cold poison did not stop there, and it continued to wreak havoc. Before long, even their consciousness was frozen, and their vision gradually fell into darkness as their bodies fell into a deep sleep. Ling laughed mockingly. "What kind of outstanding disciple of the Red Blood Palace are you? You were tricked so easily." The little boy laughed hideously as he stared at Bing Wuxin, his eyes flickering with excitement. He licked his lips and said, "Bing Wuxin's bloodline is inherited from that lord. I believe that once you absorb it, you will surely have nature-defying miraculous effects." Ling's eyes heated up as well. "I also have a share of the credit, so give me half of it." "Well said." The little boy chuckled. Right at that moment, a discordant voice reached their ears. "Aren't you looking down on me, Sue, by discussing how to split the spoils now?" The abruptness of the words startled both of them. The little boy raised his brows, and his face darkened. "Erling, what are you doing? Why is this guy unscathed?" Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie were frozen by the cold poison hidden in the purple-red talisman, while Su Yu was standing in the yard unscathed. Erling looked surprised. "I don't know either. This lad is a little strange, and I saw him stick the talisman with my own eyes. But, he's just a 5th-grade fairy, and I think he's just here to make up the numbers." Chapter 9:14. Although I don't know what means you used to resist the cold poison in the Sumru breathtaking talisman, if I were you, I would have run away from the very beginning instead of staying behind to make sarcastic remarks. Erling sneered as he walked towards Su Yu. When he was 100 feet away from Su Yu, his eyes turned cold, and his whole body surged with violent waves of vital energy, crashing towards Su Yu. If such a majestic vital energy were to be directed at a 6th-grade fairy, he would probably be stunned and unable to move. Unfortunately, Su Yu was not an ordinary 6th-grade fairy. Enveloped by the enormous vital energy, Su Yu looked calm and smiled. When Erling was within 10 feet of him, a green light flashed on his arm, and a black shadow suddenly appeared without warning. Erling, who was charging towards him, turned pale with fright. Without thinking, he tapped the ground with his toes and retreated. However, after the black shadow appeared, it caught up with him at an even faster speed, grabbing Erling's shoulder. While Erling was still in shock, another palm slammed mercilessly on his head. With a dull thud, Erling's head was smashed like a watermelon. Then, a soul flew out from the top of his skull, its face full of fear and resentment. "Ah, you little thief, you played dirty." Su Yu smiled. "Same here." As he spoke, layers of reincarnation ripples appeared in his eyes, like a bottomless whirlpool. The physical world was unaffected, but Erling's soul body seemed to be subjected to endless suction. "Mo Yang, what are you waiting for? Save me!" Erling screamed in horror. They had worked together for many years, and for many years, it was Hu Wangue who had secretly hidden Mo Yang and provided him with a large number of practitioners. It could be said that Mo Yang owed him a great debt of gratitude. However, there was no response for a long time, because Mo Yang had slipped away the moment Hu Wangue appeared. He was extremely cunning. As for Erling's life and death, Hu Wangue had never thought of saving him. "Come in with peace of mind," Su Yu said calmly. As Erling roared unwillingly, he was taken into the soul space. Su Yu's eyes flashed, and with a wave of his hand, he took Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie's frozen bodies into the 9-jade spiritual pearl. Then, he ordered Hu Wangue to take Su Yu and quickly chase after Mo Yang. This place was a small town. After Mo Yang's tracks were exposed, he had nowhere to hide, so he fled all the way into the 100,000 mountains. Su Yu could sense that the current Mo Yang had just gone through a metamorphosis, and he was in his weakest form of a child. His cultivation was about the level of a 3rd-grade almighty, which was almost the same as when he had betrayed the faction. However, he could also feel that Mo Yang's aura was undergoing a subtle change. It was becoming stronger bit by bit. After Mo Yang had undergone such a metamorphosis, his abilities at his peak were incomparable to those of the grade 3 fairy in front of him. Hence, Su Yu had to kill him as soon as possible. Otherwise, if he was given enough time to recuperate and build up his energy, or if he was given a large amount of nourishment to quickly recover to his peak state, Su Yu would be the one in trouble. Half a day later, Su Yu finally caught up with him with the scent of the demon Yang. However, he was very cunning and used some kind of method to leave his aura in 3 directions at the same time. Su Yu smiled faintly. He activated his silvery white eyes and looked in 3 different directions. Passing through countless mountains, rivers, and obstacles, Su Yu saw through all 3 directions. Among them, the aura that went deep into the 100,000 mountains belonged to a flying demonic beast. It had a piece of Mo Yang's molted skin tied to its body. In another direction, there was a giant python that had been frightened and was trying to escape. In its stomach, there was a part of its body that had been swallowed. It was also part of Mo Yang's molted skin. However, Su Yu couldn't see the end of the path that led to the outside of the 100,000 mountains. Mo Yang had probably chosen to escape from the 100,000 mountains. With a smirk, Huangui carried Su Yu and tore through the air in pursuit. After another day of pursuit, Mo Yang repeated his old tricks several times in an attempt to distract Su Yu. However, Su Yu saw through them all. It was as if he had identified Mo Yang as his target. Another half a day passed. Including this day, Su Yu had chased after Mo Yang for 2 whole days. Su Yu finally caught up with Mo Yang near a cliff at the edge of the 100,000 mountains. At the moment, the pair of blood-red wings on Mo Yang's back were dull and lifeless. They had lost their spirituality. Mo Yang's face was ghastly pale, and his aura was weak. It was obvious that he had expended a lot of energy. It seemed that the reason he could persist in fleeing for 2 days and 2 nights under the pursuit of the 5th-grade Almighty Huangui was because of this pair of blood-red wings. Mo Yang leaned against the edge of the cliff and panted loudly. He stared at Su Yu with a ferocious look on his face and asked in a low voice, "How did you catch up with me?" The body that he had molted had never been discarded. It was used to confuse the enemy when he was fleeing. The strong men of the inner sanctum of the Red Blood Palace had been pursuing him for 10 years. Among them, there were many experts who could track his aura, but they had all lost him. In the end, they had even fallen into his meticulously designed trap because they had tracked his aura. What Mo Yang hadn't expected was that his successful method of scattering his aura would be useless in the hands of a mere 6th-grade fairy disciple, who had chased him all the way here. This was the first time Mo Yang had felt threatened. "How can a mere aura hide from me? Do you want me to kill you, or do you want to kill yourself?" "The former will be very painful," Su Yu said calmly. Such a high and mighty and oppressive tone made Mo Yang extremely uncomfortable. This was what he usually said to the students of the Red Blood Palace who had fallen into his trap, but today, Su Yu had used it on him. "Lad, what's the point of killing me? That old thing promised you 3 million merit points, so I can promise you 20 million crystals. With such a huge amount of crystals, why do you need to stay in the Red Blood Palace? In Tianya City, you can buy whatever resources you want. Isn't that better?" Mo Yang rolled his eyes. Su Yu replied calmly, "Merit points are useless to me now. Why would a person who would never return to the faction need merit points? You agree?" Mo Yang's eyes shone brightly. Su Yu shook his head. "I don't lack crystals, but since I've accepted the mission of killing you, and since I can complete it conveniently, why not?" Mo Yang's face fell and he gritted his teeth. "Fine, I know I can't escape today, but can you tell me why the Sumeru respiration talisman doesn't work on you?" Even Bing Wuxin, who had a special bloodline, had been affected by it. He couldn't figure out how Su Yu had managed to do it. "Oh, you mean this?" Su Yu touched his chest lightly, and a purple-red talisman gradually appeared on his chest. It seemed to be stuck to Su Yu's chest, but how could the cold poison within it not affect Su Yu? Rip! Su Yu casually tore it off. A layer of colorful film was faintly discernible between his muscles and the veins of his skin. It was the poison-repelling effect of the moonless tridirectional elixir. "You were prepared? So, you've already seen through Erling?" Mo Yang asked in a low voice. Su Yu nodded with his hands clasped behind his back. That idiot deserved to die. Even his disguise was exposed. Mo Yang said angrily. However, Su Yu said, "Haha, I saw through him not because he gave himself away, but because his disguise was too good. I have a bad habit of guarding against people who are overly enthusiastic, and Erling happened to be the one I was guarding against," Su Yu said. From helping us track down your whereabouts and keeping an eye on you, to helping us devise a disguise so that you wouldn't be vigilant, to taking out the precious talisman to help us hide our aura and enter the village to track you down. Finally, he even brought us here personally." He then added, "We're not related to him at all, yet Ling took such great pains to help us just because he hoped that we would put in a good word for him when we return to the faction. To be honest, I feel that he's a hunter who's patiently luring his prey into a trap. In his previous life, in the business world, it was Su Yu's greatest taboo to be unaccountably courteous. Anything given by a mortal must have a purpose. Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie weren't careless people, so how did they get tricked? They were led by Ling and walked into the trap unknowingly, without realizing it at all. In the end, they ended up wearing the talisman of unknown origin, completely unprepared for it." Mo Yang let out a long sigh. "So, that's how it is." "I have one last question," Mo Yang said. Su Yu tapped his chin. "Alright, go ahead. Since you're trying so hard to stall for time and want to release your ultimate skill." Upon hearing that, Mo Yang's eyelids twitched and his pupils shrank. However, he smiled and said, "At this point, do you think I can still survive?" "Oh, is that so? Then, what's the talisman in your stomach that's being activated?" Su Yu asked nonchalantly. Mo Yang was overwhelmed with shock. His so-called wish to die in peace was indeed to stall for time. He was trying to activate the talisman hidden in his body in an attempt to catch Su Yu off guard and kill him. However, he had just activated it when Su Yu discovered it. How did he detect the movement in his body through his stomach? For a moment, Mo Yang had an illusion that the most difficult person to deal with among the people who were hunting him this time wasn't the ferocious Bing Wuxin, who was hiding a 9th-grade almighty killer move, but the seemingly inconspicuous Su Yu. Die. Mo Yang felt a sense of fear and trepidation. He had been hunted for 10 years, yet he had never experienced such a terrifying feeling of being seen through. He opened his mouth and spat out the talisman in his stomach, aiming it at Su Yu. Rumble. Once the talisman appeared, it immediately turned into an endless exploding fireball. The tremendous explosive power was like a full-force strike of a 5th-grade almighty. Huangui's black shadow flickered, and he retrieved a long whip, which was permeated with terrifying flames. As he whipped it, the exploding fireball was rapidly whipped out. The seemingly dangerous blow did not cause any harm to Su Yu at all. Mo Yang didn't even look at the outcome as he plunged down the cliff. However, he hadn't flown for long when he heard the whistling sound of wind coming from above his head. It was Su Yu who had chased after Mo Yang the moment he had jumped down. Mo Yang wasn't angry. Instead, he was delighted. What he feared the most was the 5th-grade almighty strong man who was being manipulated. As for Su Yu, even though he was strange, his cultivation was still there. "Brat, since you've been chasing me relentlessly, don't blame me for being merciless." Mo Yang roared fiercely. He extended his palm, and a snow-white bone spur pierced out of his palm. The bone spur was like a beam of light, extending infinitely and piercing through Su Yu's position in the blink of an eye. Swoosh! The bone spur pierced through the space, causing it to tremble slightly. The space of the Jiuzhou continent was extremely stable. Only all creation's old monsters had the power to tear it apart, and only late-stage Almighty could barely shake the space. The penetrating power of the bone spur was no less than that of a 6th-grade Almighty. Chapter 9:15. With a cold look in his eyes, Su Yu waved his sleeves, and a shapeless silk thread cut the long bone spur apart. Mo Yang let out a shrill scream. "Ah! My hand! How could you possibly cut it? Even a top-grade spiritual artifact might not be able to do it." However, Su Yu paid no attention to him. Like a fly, he kept waving the silk thread along the way, cutting off the bone spur inch by inch. Mo Yang screamed in agony. He hurriedly withdrew the bone spur, and without looking back, he dived into the depths of the cliff. In terms of speed, The third-grade Almighty Mo Yang was naturally far superior to Su Yu. In just a few breaths, Mo Yang had disappeared. But it was only temporary. A fiery red light suddenly erupted in mid-air above the cliff, and a pair of flaming wings spread out abruptly. Su Yu's body technique surged, and he caught up with Mo Yang in an instant. At that moment, Mo Yang was about to reach the bottom of the cliff. At the bottom was a bottomless, ice-cold pool. Mo Yang dived straight into it, as if there was something in it that could save his life. As his eyes swept across the pool, Su Yu suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if there was something in the depths of the pool. He couldn't wait any longer. Su Yu took a deep breath and weaved signs with both hands. The moonlight on his right palm was hazy, and it grew stronger and stronger, finally enveloping the whole world. Mo Yang looked up and was overwhelmed with shock. He saw that the boundless horizon was shrouded by a huge bright moon, as if the moon had fallen from the sky and was crushing him. What shocked him even more was that he recognized this scene. The unique skill of the Central Prefecture's King's Guard, the first style of the heaven-extinguishing divine palm, moon palm. Impossible. You are a student of the Red Blood Palace. How could you be proficient in the heaven-extinguishing divine palm? Mo Yang exclaimed in shock. A faint voice came from the boundless moonlight. I will tell you after you go down. Boom. The boundless bright moon shrouded the area, and Mo Yang was turned into fragments in the moonlight, all falling into the icy pool. The first style of the heaven-extinguishing divine palm was more than enough to kill a third-grade almighty. However, Su Yu's ears suddenly twitched. Amidst the sound of flesh falling to the ground, Su Yu heard a strange movement. Looking over, the flesh and blood of Mo Yang, which had been shattered, had actually reformed. Resurrection? Impossible. Su Yu used his transparent eye to scan it. Sure enough, he found that the demon sun that had just been reassembled was the body that the demon sun had once regenerated. Since it was missing a few parts, it was in an incomplete state. However, his cultivation was that of a fifth-grade almighty. Damn it! You ruined my holy demon true body. I want you to suffer a fate worse than death. Mo Yang's eyes were blood-red and overflowing with hatred. This body was the empty shell that he had left behind when he had transformed, and it possessed the cultivation of a fifth-grade almighty. Originally, after the metamorphosis, as long as he captured a few strong almighties and used their blood essence, he would be able to quickly recover from the state of a child to the state of an adult. By then, his cultivation would have reached the level of a sixth-grade almighty. If Su Yu rushed over at that time, he would undoubtedly be seeking his own death. But now, Su Yu had destroyed his newest body while he was still young. In other words, Mo Yang's cultivation of the holy demon transcendence scripture had come to an end, and the body he had shed was no longer sufficient for him to undergo another transformation. This kind of matter that destroyed one's future could be said to be a blood feud. Now that he had no choice but to revert to his previous body and reach the level of a fifth-grade almighty, he was no longer afraid of Hu Wangui. Hence, he naturally had to take revenge. Die. Mo Yang, who had transformed into a fifth-grade almighty, had his strength increased tremendously. Su Yu didn't even get a clear look of his figure before he was already 10 feet away from him. However, Su Yu didn't panic. Instead, he shook his sleeves, and a small 5-colored tower appeared in his palm. As he instilled the 5 elements into it, the small tower immediately released a layer of 5-colored ripples, which protected Su Yu's body. With a dull thud, Mo Yang's body was bounced back, while the ripples on the surface of Su Yu's body didn't budge at all. As he staggered and flew away, Mo Yang was in an extremely sorry state. His eyes were bloodshot with rage as he yelled, "Who the hell are you? Mysterious flying wings, mysterious silk threads, mysterious defense, and a mysterious fifth-grade almighty puppet. How could this be an ordinary fairy? Even most early-stage almighties couldn't compare to him. You don't need to know that," Suyu said indifferently. Right at that moment, a swift and fierce palm print descended abruptly and bombarded Mo Yang's body. He wanted to resist, but his degenerated body was incomplete, so his flexibility was greatly reduced. He was hit in the chest in a moment of carelessness. His chest was pierced through, and as the vital energy vibrated, his whole body exploded. Mo Yang's head was sent flying, filled with pain and resentment. Suyu waved his palm and enveloped the head with his vital energy. This head was worth a whole 300 merit points. Suyu quickly stuffed the head into his space ring, then immediately captured Mo Yang's soul and destroyed it. Only then would Mo Yang be truly killed. However, Mo Yang was extremely cunning. The moment his body was shattered, his soul left his body and dove into the ice-cold water of the pool without saying a word. Huanggue was about to dive into the water to chase after him, but he was stopped by Suyu. Wait! Don't go in! The depths of the pool gave him a very dangerous feeling. Suyu squinted his eyes and looked into the depths of the pool with his transparent eye. Soon, Suyu found Mo Yang's soul that had entered the pool. He was filled with resentment, and with a small bag in his mouth, he dove into the bottom of the pool. The pool was extremely deep, and it took Mo Yang 10 minutes to reach the bottom of the pool. At the bottom of the pool, there was a stone door that had been cut into the side of the cliff. Boundless ghost energy emanated from within the stone door. It was eerie and intimidating, making one shudder with fear. Mo Yang greets my master. Mo Yang's soul knelt in front of the stone door. Master? Mo Yang actually has a master? Who is he? At that moment, an old and cold voice came from within the stone door. What about Erling? Where is he? Master, when we were looking for a few students of the Red Blood Palace, we were schemed against by one of them. Erling died, and both of my bodies were destroyed, Mo Yang said resentfully. The voice from within the stone door spoke again. So, the souls that you were supposed to collect have also been lost? Master, Mo Yang protected his souls with his life, and they are all in this small bag, Mo Yang said. He loosened his mouth, and the small bag in his mouth fell to the ground. The stone door opened a slit, and a dark ghost energy surged from within. It was extremely eerie. A withered ghost hand, which looked like only bones, reached out from the slit of the stone door and grabbed the small bag. Shortly after, the agitation of countless souls could be heard, followed by terrified and shrill screams. This was followed by the sound of chewing, which was accompanied by even more shrill screams. It was as if those souls were being chewed and eaten alive by something. After a moment, the screams of the souls disappeared, and were replaced by a long moan. Mo Yang lowered his head and said, Master, the brat who hunted me is above the pool. Please avenge me. A hoarse voice came from within the stone door. Of course, I will avenge you, but you foolishly lured him here and exposed my existence. You need to be punished as well. What? Mo Yang's face changed drastically. Before he could react, a skinny hand reached out from the slit of the stone door at lightning speed and grabbed him. Then, a shrill scream that made one's blood run cold rang out, and the sound of chewing stopped abruptly. Suyu, who was above the pool and witnessing everything, felt his scalp go numb. His pupils shrank abruptly. Oh no! Let's go! Without hesitation, Suyu spread his red wings and soared into the sky with Huanggue. Right at that moment, the pool surged and the waves tumbled. With a splash, a withered ghost claw that was hundreds of feet long emerged from the depths of the pool. The ghost claw was like lightning as it tried to grab Suyu. Seeing that it was about to grab Suyu's ankle and pull him into the bottom of the pool, Suyu had a thought, and Huanggue flew over and stood in front of Suyu. Sizzle! Huangue's calf was grabbed, and he was pulled into the pool at lightning speed. A cold light flashed in the depths of Suyu's eyes. He quickly pulled out the silk and slashed it at the sinister ghost claw. Crack! The ghost claw was broken. Without thinking, Suyu grabbed the ghost claw and fled with Huanggue. At the bottom of the pool, a cry of pain came from within the stone door. "Who is it? How could you cut off my Vajra corpse?" Splash! The stone door opened, and a figure shrouded in ghost energy rushed out of it, arriving above the pool. When the ghost energy dissipated, a withered, skeleton-like figure appeared. 2 purple flames were flickering in his sunken eye sockets, and his whole body was emitting an evil ghost energy. Although he had changed a lot, if Su Yu were here, he would surely recognize that the person before him was Manor Master Zhang, whose body had been occupied by the soul of an all-creation ghost in the Yuling Mountain. After escaping from the Yuling Mountain, he had actually been hiding here. Moreover, judging from his cultivation, he seemed to have recovered a lot and had reached the all-creation level. His gaze pierced through the void and looked in Su Yu's direction, but he could not find him. Su Yu had long since escaped. Who is it? Why does he have such a familiar aura? Manor Master Zhang's whole body emitted a cold aura. I can't be hunted down by the Jiuzhou Almighties for the time being, so it seems like I can only kill him. As he spoke, Manor Master Zhang took out a jade pendant and left a message. Pass down my order. Investigate the people in the Red Blood Palace who accepted the mission to kill Mo Yang. Kill them all. The jade pendant burned and traveled through the void. It was unknown whose hand it had been sent to. Meanwhile, Su Yu was thousands of miles away. He was not flying, but was sticking close to the ground. A purple-red talisman was stuck to his body, concealing all of his aura. No matter who looked at him, he looked like a mortal. It was not until a few days later that Su Yu was sure that the terrible aura of the Ghost Clan had not chased after him, that he removed the Summer Respiration Talisman and heaved a long sigh of relief. Who is at the bottom of the pool? Why is it resting there? Also, that voice seems very familiar. Su Yu's expression was grave. He had originally been hunting Mo Yang, but he had not expected to attract a terrible ghost. Fortunately, he had left early. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. After thinking about it, Su Yu chose a safe place and sat down with his legs crossed. Then, he entered the soul dimension. It was pitch black all around. Su Yu said coldly, "Evil God, where is the soul that was taken in just now?" He had to ask Ling about this matter. Of course, it has become a delicious snack. Kid, do you want a bite? The evil god did not show himself in the void. Su Yu frowned. This is my soul dimension. As he spoke, the soul dimension vibrated, and the evil god, who was hiding in a secret place, was forcibly captured. At first glance, Su Yu was shocked. Chapter 9:16. It was holding a dying soul in its mouth. It was Ling, who had just been let in. Su Yu narrowed his eyes and said, "You have recovered to such an extent? It seems that you have gained great benefits from the evil spear on the tree goddess." When Su Yu tried to pull out the long spear from the tree goddess, he was invaded by the evil energy. When his soul space was loosened, the evil god took the opportunity to absorb some of the evil energy. The evil god was nourished by the souls of 3 or 4 almighty levels, and the drop of blood only doubled in size. However, that trace of evil energy made the drop of blood of the evil god more than 10,000 times stronger. "Hey boy, let's make a deal. Why don't we work together to steal all the evil energy from the tree goddess? After absorbing it, I should be able to recover 10% of my strength. When that time comes, whoever dares to bully you, tell me. I used to be known as the Emperor of slaughtering heaven and earth. I killed gods and Buddhas. Whoever dares to touch you, I will let them know why the flowers are so red." The dog that the evil god had transformed into said vaguely with the soul in its mouth. Su Yu shook his head calmly. "With your words, I will try my best to stay away from the evil energy on the tree goddess." If the evil god really recovered 10% of his strength, could a mere soul space subdue him? At that time, the evil god would vent its anger of being imprisoned, and Su Yu would be annihilated. How could Su Yu agree to such a stupid thing? Hey, hey, boy, I am your dear evil god. I will harm anyone but you, right? The evil god rolled its eyes and revealed a lascivious look. The ancient bronze tree goddess is also very beautiful. If you help me recover 10% of my strength, I will help you subdue that woman and become your concubine. How about that? We will benefit both of us. Suyu shook his head, unmoved. This evil god was too cunning. Last time, he was almost fooled and cheated of his divine crystal. Don't waste your time, Suyu said calmly and looked at the evil god. Speaking of which, is this what your original body looks like? Why is it a dog? Hey, who are you calling a dog? I am the divine emperor who slaughters heaven and earth. How can I be a dog? The evil god instantly felt humiliated. This god-emperor's true form is the heaven-devouring divine hound. Anyone who sees me has to call me god-emperor. Divine dog. Suyu pondered. Dog, isn't it just a dog? At most, it's a divine dog. Ah, I'm not a dog, woof woof. Woof woof woof. The evil god barked. Suyu was speechless. He squatted down and grabbed Erling's half-dead soul from Erling's mouth. Stupid dog, open your mouth. I have something to ask him. Woof woof. My meal, if you don't hand it over. The evil god bit the soul tightly and kept dragging it back. Suyu was not in a good mood and gave it a kick. Stupid dog. The evil god was kicked to the ground. He immediately threw a tantrum and wailed, Murder! Oh, I've killed a dog. Someone come quickly. Suyu rolled his eyes, grabbed Erling's soul and asked, Who is your and Emo Yang's master? At this moment, Erling was almost tortured to death by the evil god. Meeting Suyu was like meeting his savior, so he naturally told him everything he knew. It's a ghost who calls himself the Ghost General Bloodbone. He really is a ghost. How did you become his slaves? Suyu asked. Erling said, he was being hunted, and it was said that he escaped from the direction of the Red Blood Palaces, Yuling Mountain. Mo Yang and I were looking for an almighty to attack, but we came across him, who was on the verge of death. We were about to attack him, but we didn't know he was a ghost, and he even had a 9th grade almighty peak. We were controlled by him, and he ordered us to send him almighty-level souls every month to help him recover from his injuries. It's him. Suyu's pupils shrank. The all-creation's old monster ghost who had possessed Manor Master Zhang. The Ghost General Bloodbone. Suyu had an ominous feeling in his heart. Why did he suddenly wake up in the Yuling Mountain? Was it a coincidence, or was there a plan? 100 years had passed since the Great War between humans and ghosts, but no one could forget that dark and tragic era. It was an era when almost all races were wiped out. After 100 years, the ghost had once again appeared stealthily, which made Suyu very uneasy. Apart from you and Mo Yang, does he have any other slaves? Suyu asked. Erling was gradually turning transparent, and it seemed like he couldn't hold on any longer. He nodded with difficulty and said, Yes. How many? Suyu's heart skipped a beat. The Ghost General Bloodbone had the ability to transform humans into ghosts. It had been 4 to 5 months since he had left the Yuling Mountain, so only God knew how many humans he had transformed. Erling was getting weaker and weaker. Mo Yang and I were only the first 2. Later on, he developed many, some great influences. All of them were under his control. Even the great influences were under his control? Suyu's heart sank. Which influences? Erling's lips wriggled, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't. His eyes closed, and his soul dissipated. Ah, my meal. The evil god pounced over like a dog, bit the soul, and gobbled it up. After he was done, he licked his lips and wagged his tail. Kid, don't worry about the Ghost General Bloodbone. Let's go look for the tree goddess again. I'll recover my cultivation, and you can sleep with her. Hey, don't go. After returning to his body, Suyu had a grave look on his face. Which influence was it controlled by the ghost General Bloodbone? How big was it? If he didn't guard against it, it would become a disaster sooner or later. After all, he was a student of the Red Blood Palace, and he had an obligation to warn the faction of danger. After thinking for a while, Su Yu wrote a letter, explaining the matter of the ghost General Bloodbone. He hoped that it would be taken seriously when he brought it back to the Red Blood Palace. Then, he summoned Bing Wuxin and Gongsun Wuxie, who were frozen from the 9 Jade spiritual mirror. The cold poison in their bodies had been largely eliminated, especially Bing Wuxin, whose chest was emitting a warm current, which had already eliminated most of the cold poison. Su Yu condensed brilliant starlight in his palm and placed it on their backs, slowly extracting the cold poison. 4 hours later, most of the cold poison in their bodies had been eliminated. Su Yu deliberately left a small amount of cold poison in their bodies, so they continued to remain unconscious. In their current state, it wouldn't be long before they woke up on their own. Su Yu placed the letter in Bing Wuxin's hand. At the same time, he took out the space ring containing Mo Yang's head and stuffed it into Bing Wuxin's sleeve. After that, Su Yu looked at the two of them and sighed softly. As fellow faction members, I can only help you this much. Take care of yourselves. When he finished speaking, he stepped into the void and flew away. Before long, the two of them woke up one after another amidst moans. Gongsun Wuxie shivered her small body, which was shivering all over. She opened her bewildered eyes and regained consciousness. She quickly realized what had happened before she fainted, and she yelled, "Ayaya! How dare you plot against me? I'll kill you all!" When she stood up, she saw Bing Wuxin standing on the ground with both feet on the ground, holding a letter in one hand and a space ring in the other. She was visibly moved. Gongsun Wuxie had never seen such an expression on her face before. At the same time, Gongsun Wuxie quickly realized that one person was missing. Where's the old perverted thief? Gongsun Wuxie looked around, and her expression changed. Could he have been killed by that traitor, Erling? Thinking of that, Gongsun Wuxie fell silent. Although she hated Su Yu, she felt a pang of melancholy when she learned that he had been plotted against. Sister Wuxin, how are we going to explain this to the faction? The two of us who helped him are safe and sound, but he perished, Gongsun Wuxie said in a low voice. Also, how are we going to explain this to Cabinet Master Xuelian? She took great care of Su Yu, and the great palace master appreciated him very much. Bing Wuxin looked into the distance, lost in thought. She passed the letter over without saying a word. What's this? Gongsun Wuxie took it, unfolded it, and said in shock, This is the handwriting left behind by that guy. He didn't die? Bing Wuxin nodded deeply with her snow-white chin. Yes, he didn't die, and he even saved us. Him? That can't be right. He was just like us, and he should have stuck that purple-red talisman on him. How could he be fine? Gongsun Wuxie was extremely shocked. Bing Wuxin said, It shouldn't be fake. Before I fell asleep, I vaguely heard his voice. Apart from him, no one could have saved us in time. Gongsun Wuxie couldn't believe it. Then, how did he escape with us? Apart from Mo Yang, there was Erling, and he was a 4th grade almighty. He should have been eliminated by him too, right? Bing Wuxin took out the space ring and handed it to Gongsun Wuxie. She glanced inside and sucked in a breath of cold air. Mo Yang. He killed Mo Yang with his own hands? Yes, it's not surprising. With that unexpected puppet, killing Mo Yang was still very easy. However, Bing Wuxin's beautiful eyes were full of shrewdness. No, look carefully again. There is a lingering aura of moonlight on Mo Yang's body. He must have been destroyed by a powerful cultivation technique, or he was severely injured. Su Yuxian must have hidden an even more powerful strength. An absolute strength that is enough to kill a 3rd grade almighty. All of us have underestimated him. The corners of Bing Wuxin's mouth curled up slightly, and a brilliant and proud smile appeared on her cold face. Gongsun Wuxie caught the scene and asked suspiciously, Sister Wuxin, you can't have been captured by that old pervert, can you? You're right. If someone were to throw a mission worth 3 million merit points at me, I might also be smashed to the point where my heart would be in turmoil. She couldn't help but tease her. What nonsense are you talking about? Gongsun Wuxie glared at her. I'm just curious. She couldn't understand why Su Yu had been so cold to her in the Demon Mountain, but now left such an important merit point for her. Her calm heart was stirred up, and Su Yu's image appeared in her mind. She couldn't help but ask herself, does he really like me? Where is he now? Gongsun Wuxie asked, not noticing the changes in Bing Wuxin's heart. Bing Wuxin shook her head. He didn't say anything in the letter. You can ask him when you get back to the faction. What she really wanted to ask was why Su Yu had given her the 3 million merit point mission. Could it be that he had never intended to get the merit points in the first place, and had only wanted to help her silently? Beep beep. All of a sudden, the crisp sound of the messaging jade pendant rang out in their arms at the same time. When they took it out and heard it, their faces changed at the same time. The Red Blood Palace has issued an urgent order. All students who are on missions near the Shangguan family are to rush to the Shangguan family immediately. An unknown force is stirring up trouble and besieging the Shangguan family. 3 days ago, the entire Luo family was slaughtered, and the Shangguan family is under heavy siege. Students who received the news will rush there immediately. Experts from the outside sanctum are on their way. Gongsun Wuxie asked suspiciously, which force is it? Half a year ago, the 4th-ranked family was annihilated overnight, and now the 5th-ranked family has also been annihilated. How dare they besiege the Shangguan family? Bing Wuxin's eyes flickered with coldness. Who cares who they are? We'll just annihilate them. If we can kill the enemy's leader in a battle like this, we'll get a lot of merit points. Humph, that's true. I was plotted against on a mission this time, and I have nowhere to vent my anger. Gongsun Wuxie flashed an evil smile. She had been suppressing her anger. Su Yu, who was nowhere to be found, came to a riverside to check his gains. It was a ghostly arm from the ghost soldier Bloodbone. The arm was extremely hard, and it contained a powerful all creation's mighty force. Su Yu felt a sense of danger just by wrapping it with vital energy. I wonder how powerful this claw will be if it's slapped down. Su Yu's eyes flickered with interest. The palm of an all creation's old monster still had some mighty force left, so the power it could unleash should be very powerful. This could be considered a trump card. Su Yu took out the jade box, sealed the ghostly arm, and carefully placed it into the 9-jade spiritual pearl. Master, there's still this. Huan Gue, who was guarding him, suddenly handed over a black bag. Su Yu asked in surprise, what's this? When I killed Mo Yang, I casually grabbed it from his waist and chest, Xiaochen said. Huan Gue pierced Mo Yang with his palm and grabbed the black bag hidden in his chest. Mo Yang's storage bag? Su Yu was quite surprised, and he immediately probed it with his soul energy. He found that there were many good things inside. There were more than 1,000,000 crystals, which was a considerable gain. Su Yu accepted it without hesitation. There was a scroll sealed in liquid, and the words, Holy Demon Transcendence Scripture, were written on it. Su Yu's eyes lit up, and he took out the scripture and opened it on the spot. After reading it, Su Yu frowned deeply. He was very curious about Mo Yang's metamorphosis technique, and only after seeing it with his own eyes did he realize how vicious this scripture was. With this technique, every layer of metamorphosis would allow one to break through a level. When one broke through 9 levels, he would successfully reach the all creations level. However, every metamorphosis required the absorption of powerful flesh and blood essence, and it required a large amount of it. Mo Yang had metamorphosed 3 times in a row, and he had killed at least 30 almighty to achieve what he had today. This kind of demonic technique that consumed human flesh and blood was really hard for Su Yu to complement. A flame streaked across his fingertip, and the scripture was burned on the spot. It was better to destroy such a harmful thing. As he continued to rummage through the bag, Suyu found another well-preserved jade box. There was an elixir recipe inside, as well as a jade gourd. Inside the jade gourd was an elixir the size of a fist with 6 patterns. Its whole body was pitch black, and 6 meridian-like patterns surrounded the elixir. Through the jade box, Suyu saw the name of the elixir recipe. 6 Demons Incredible Elixir. It's that ancient elixir. Suyu's heartbeat quickened slightly. This was the item that Emo Yang had stolen when he betrayed the faction. It was a type of incredible elixir that Master Ghost had spent decades refining. This elixir was known as the #1 incredible elixir of the demonic path, and it had a mysterious effect on breaking through to the all creations level. The #1 demonic faction of Jiuzhou, the supreme heavenly demon faction, had coveted this elixir. He had thought that the elixir had been consumed or sold by Emo Yang. He had not expected to keep it. He must have intended to save it for when he had metamorphosed to the highest level before consuming it and breaking through to the all creations in one go. Unfortunately, Suyu had benefited from it in the end. Suyu's eyes flickered and he searched the bag again. Before long, he found a pile of materials that had been hidden very deeply. They were all precious materials that were rarely seen on the continent. Each of them was worth up to $100,000. They were all elixir materials for refining the 6 demons' incredible elixir. Back then, Emo Yang had taken them away along with the materials. In his delight, Suyu transplanted all the materials into the nursery of the 9 Jade Spiritual Pearl. Although there was only 1 portion left after cultivation, if he obtained the seed, it could be reproduced indefinitely. Coupled with the fact that he had deciphered the elixir recipe, it would be effortless for Suyu to refine the elixir on his own in the future. Haha, the harvest this time is far greater than I imagined. Suyu stared at the 6 demons' incredible elixir, his eyes shining brightly. The elixir was naturally useless to him now, but the amazing demonic energy contained in it gave Suyu hope of continuing to cultivate the 9 dragons' devil-subduing art. Just as Suyu was in high spirits and was about to find a way to absorb the demonic energy in the 6 demons' incredible elixir, a beeping sound came from his chest. He took it out and opened it. An urgent message about the faction fell into his ears. The Shangguan family is heavily surrounded? Suyu stood up abruptly, his expression changing slightly. After pondering for a moment, Suyu put away the things and flew toward the Shangguan family without hesitation. He had received a gift from Shangguan Yunk and had promised to protect the family. Now that the Shangguan family was in trouble, he was duty-bound to help.